Hello. Right, okay. Can we hear me? Let me just see if that's actually happening. Yes, that's happening. You can hear me. Good. That's what I want. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream. I'm very zoomed in. I'm going to sort the camera out at some point. I think I got a new... I'm going to try and set something up that's new. Hello, Wolfie. Good. That's good. That's what we want. We're playing some Planet Zoo and then some Terra Nil. So, hello, good evening, Georgia. I'm having a few issues at the moment where my Streamlabs is not detecting my mic levels, which is a little bit frustrating. Anyway, we're going to be playing some Planet Zoo, as you already know, and then we're going to finish off with some Terra Nil. And we're going to just go straight into Planet Zoo now, so let's just dive across. And here we have it. So, I'm also recording this episode, so this is going to be part of the speed build that I will hopefully have finished for the weekend, but we've got a lot to cover today. So, you will notice that we have the foundations of a brand new habitat here. I've put a lot of the kind of background work and stuff into it already, and I'm hoping that it's going to be pretty good, and we're going to finish it off today, or finish the bulk of it today, and then all I'll have to do is like little bits and pieces to finish it off. But this is a mixed habitat, and it's going to be a mixed habitat consisting of, yep, we've moved them, our giant anteater, which we're having a little bit of a problem with that shared habitat where the Baird's tapir is. So it's just Baird's tapir going to be in that habitat right now. And we've also got the Colombian white-faced capuchin, who do benefit from multi-species enrichment within this habitat. And then a wild card. Where are they? Down here in the cave? Yes. Yeah, we've got a lot in here. A maned wolf. Now, this might not work because we have, in the environment here, their coverage is quite low before they start losing kind of the effect of it and getting uncomfortable. Whereas our beds are, what are they called? Giant anteaters can have up to 100%, and I believe the capuchins, when I stop doing this weird camera stuff, they also kind of can go up to 100%. So the maned wolf may not work here, but if we can, trick it, it might work. What I could do is just separate off the maned wolf habitat with a null barrier going all the way across. I really like the idea of having this cave that they can go down into to actually make use of that for some shelter. So that's hopefully going to be where the maned wolf are going to stay. The capuchins, we're going to try and make like a nice big habitat that covers a load of trees and stuff so that they can be fully enriched and have some like in the tree canopy, some sleeping areas there. And our Baird's tapir, we might actually build a little shelter on the back of our staff area here. The staff area doesn't have much in it. It's got the solar panel here, which we'll have to make sure that we don't cover up. The keeper hut and, of course, the water treatment that we are going to need for this area as well. And we'll just have a little sweep by some of the barriers that I've done. I thought about using some mix of like East Asia timber and bamboo with ropes attached to it, and these little temple themed barriers, and then a nice long kind of open mesh based barrier all the way around this area, so it's all open. I've just put in those rocks there, so we're going to tidy them up a little bit, and then a couple of glass viewing areas in this section here, and then going all the way up we're going to do something interesting here. And the other thing that we're going to be playing around with is some water and things. So you can see we've put some waterfalls and stuff in here. And then just tidying this staff area up and finishing off the building. Now, I'm not going to cover all of that in this one stream. We've got a lot to do. So today we're going to do a little bit more rock work and start putting some foliage in. And then probably work on our, generally just trying to get the coverage really good. And putting some canopies in for our capuchins. Now, before we proceed, I just want to show you some of the kind of areas that we're probably going to need to focus on above all else. So this area of escape here, it's just this rock here. So we need to just patch that up, and then that should stop the anteaters from escaping. Everything else is looking good. The maned wolf, I think, they have some jumpable escape points there. and up on this side, so we'll need to do something about that. And the capuchins have a little bit more to deal with. As you can see, they can't actually access this area of the habitat because of the water, but they can jump and escape around there somewhere and there, and just some areas here. I think it's mainly this one, because if they can jump up onto this rock, they can then get all the way along here, and I think this is just a walkable escape area, but that might be my barrier design that's been a bit of an issue there. So that pretty much covers everything we've done so far. Let me just get away from that horrible heat map. And one thing that I do need to mention is this was originally going to be an American alligator habitat. Obviously, I wanted to kind of lean into the South American theme a little bit more. So our American alligators have been moved a little bit further down. And hopefully this will then finish off this entire top side of the new area. And that'll be actually probably the quickest I've developed a space. If we just zoom out a little bit further, you can see now we're kind of backing right up onto Old Town. And my aim over the course of the next few episodes is to just kind of bridge the gap here. Because what I'd really like to have done by the end of this kind of season is patch up all of these areas here, obviously finish the second part of our wetlands, and have this looking like a whole complete section. And that'll probably end with the mountain biome as well that we're going to plan in. But yeah, we're looking pretty good so far. And obviously here, when we finally get update 1.13, this is all going to be a null path. I just think that's probably the best way to go. And then a null path will go on here, so we get rid of those nasty looking sides. So yeah, one thing, I'm planning ahead for updates and stuff, because I think when the new update comes out, we're going to be doing a little bit of redevelopment throughout the whole area here. I'm not too happy with the staff area, the guest area here from the last episode, so I might make a few adjustments to that at a later date. Anyway, that's kind of enough of the intro. How are you all doing before I begin? Let's touch base, because that was a lot. And now it's your turn, so I'm glad you think it looks pretty and an interesting mix. And yeah, maned wolf, I'm hoping Wolfie is going to stay. If not, I have had a couple of ideas for like another plan that would involve bringing in some crocodiles and just kind of restricting their space within the habitat so that they can't actually get to the capuchins or the giant anteaters. So yeah, lots to play around with today, but I'm going to just get started and we're going to do our favorite. Let me just show you some of these rocks here. So I did play around a little bit with the stalagmites again. And these are actually separate. It's a group of objects here. And what I did was let me just bring this out so I can explain to you. So the back of this has actually got a wood panel on, and then I just snapped stuff to it and then tried to match up the colours as best I can. So in here we've got some of the tropical rock cladding pillars, some twilight stalactites and stuff. And yeah, just messing around with that sort of stuff to make it look a bit like some, I guess it's like mud that's kind of built up there. Yes, we have rock work today. Oh, very good. I'm glad you had a good first week there, Georgia. It's always good to get one under your belt, and it'll definitely help you settle in and feel a bit more comfortable over the next few weeks. What is it a placement on? Are you teaching or medical or? I'm going to let you answer that question while I start building some stuff with rocks. So what I did for this, because you can't really see, I basically started with this panel here that I created. And then, sorry animals, you're going to be probably boxed up after this. And then I kind of sunk it into bits that were overlapping, so we end up with this little bit of a kind of step system going down. And I carried this on all the way around, and then we kind of just started matching it all up, really, so it's got this continuation going through. And obviously the top pieces we're going to cover up ourselves, but it was mainly about creating this muddy undergrowth that is this kind of whole area, as if kind of like we've had flooding or a landslide or something, and it's all kind of eroded and worn away. And what we end up with is the stuff that's underneath it. Ah, Seth, thanks for coming. Oh my, I'm very glad to be in the same category as delay designer, so that's incredibly I'm very happy about that, actually. So welcome to the stream. I hope you find it useful, and it's nice to see you coming back to Planet Zoo. I think it's going to be one of those games where people do kind of take breaks and stuff. I mean, I've taken breaks myself. Like I said, I don't know if you know much about my history with Planet Zoo, but I did kind of play it at launch, and I just could not get into it. I found it all a little bit too overwhelming to start building, and then eventually when I started making stuff for this channel, it all kind of changed and something just clicked. And I think it's just about once you get like a oh, how do I say it? A kind of method of building that suits you rather than trying to kind of recreate other creators. I guess that's when the pin drops and you kind of start making things in your own special way, shall we say, because I will do things that are going to frustrate people, so you know. And oh, that sounds like a really interesting placement, actually. That's really cool. Amazing. I had thought about, you know, I've got a drama degree, and like drama and performance therapy's become quite a big thing lately, and especially in terms of getting kids into like a bit more of a confidence boost, or a kind of helping them find their own voices, shall we say. That's become quite a big thing lately, and that's something that I'd kind of looked at getting into, but I'm going down a bit of a teaching road now, so I'm hoping to apply for like a couple of teaching courses and stuff, so I can actually just start teaching drama at secondary level. So that's something that I'm looking to do over the next, like, you know, few months. But yeah, that's really exciting. I'm really glad it's gone well. Now, so here we've kind of got this, you know, it looks very samey and similar. So what we're going to do is we're going to start adding our own little bits of rock work and stuff to spruce it up a little. So I really love this one. I mentioned this the last video that I did. I think it's just such a cool piece, and it's got a lot more detail on it in terms of the cracks in the rocks than any of the other ones. So we'll put that in. We'll just bring it all the way up, actually. We'll start working from the top down, which I don't normally do, but for the sake of this, I think it's best that we do, so we can cover up some of the tops of those stalactites. I'm a bit on borrowed time this week, and obviously there's a lot to cover in this episode, so it might not go to plan, but that's kind of why there's not as much detail on the stalagmite work and stuff as opposed to the last build that I used them in, which was the Baird's Tapir and Giant Anteater habitat. Obviously that one hasn't quite worked out, so that's why I'm moving the Giant Anteater into this larger enclosure, just so that there's a bit more space. It worked out originally when we had it in, but as soon as one of them had like offspring, it all became very much an overcrowded space, and I'm still having some issues where the Baird's Tapir offspring seem to clip through the wall and escape. Like when you kind of bring up the tooltip to see if there are any escape points for them, it doesn't show any, but they somehow manage to clip through the wall of the enclosure and get out, which is a little bit frustrating. So you might be wondering what we're going to be doing with all of the rock kind of surrounds here, because as you can see, if we just pan out a little bit, this all looks very garish. So what we can do to begin with is just put some heavy soil in there, and that kind of helps it merge with the rest of the environment and terrain a little bit. But I'm going to do something a little bit more, and that's going to involve using mulch and different pieces, so it should kind of help things come out. Oh yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's a lot of really quite like small Planet Zoo creators that have kind of popped up. I think it's kind of been a consequence of like lockdowns and stuff, and people have just started to get into this sort of content creation a bit more. And the likes of like ZSH Plays, who kind of really blew up recently, but he's made some incredible content and incredible builds. But yeah, I think a lot of that stuff, once they kind of reach the a particular level, I do think it gets difficult to follow, and I'm not at that level, and I don't think I'll ever be at that level. But so I just like to keep things relatively simple, but a little bit more like, you know, you've been playing the game for a while and you're getting a little bit more advanced and stuff, and just trying to play around with things and show you things that might help you out, rather than creating something that's really overly elaborate. I mean, I love watching that sort of stuff, but for me, I look at some of the stuff and I'm like, I'm never going to create that. And I probably, you know, at some point I might, but I do so many different games and stuff on the channel and things, and It's just, you know, I don't have the time either. You know, if I was doing this like as a full-time thing, I think I'd have a lot more time to create that sort of stuff, but I just play it quite casually. So a lot of the things I do, other people won't, or there'd be a shortcut for it, and I'm doing it the long-winded way, but I'd prefer to do it that way. I'm sure that's not completely true, Georgia. I reckon you could, you know, put something incredible together. I think it's just, you know, it's finding the pieces that work for you. That's what I found. So like sometimes something will just click, and then I'll lean on that piece a lot more, or lean on that method of building a lot more, and it's just getting that comfort zone that works for you. And it's a shame because I never quite got it with Planet Coaster, and I would have loved to have done that and done that a little bit more, but yeah, it just never clicked for me. And I think it's because I really like the idea of being able to see these animals in these habitats that I've created. And that's what's kept me coming back to Planet Zoo, I guess. So we've got this now looking a lot nicer. Of course, you still have a great deal of stalagmites and stalactites in there that are kind of disrupting the flow and making it look a little bit too samey. So we're just going to come in with a couple of the smaller tropical rocks, and we will just sink those down like that. And then pull them in. Now, I have been noticing some frame rate drops when I'm playing Planet Zoo in Arcadia at the moment, which I don't think is to do with piece count. I think it's actually to do with the guests that I have in. So as you can see, there's only 37 guests in the zoo at the moment. And that's because before I started this stream, I closed the zoo. So it's currently closed, and everybody's kind of in the process of leaving. So when they come in, they'll be able to see this brand new habitat, and they'll really enjoy it. I hope so, anyway. Because yeah, it's just getting a little bit. I've noticed some stuttering, and also I removed the guest cap because I found I made more money with having more guests in, so it became a bit of an issue. But hopefully, and we'll get that sorted, and it won't be too much of a problem moving forward, and we can put together some nice tours and stuff and do a little bit more detailing work. And I think this might be, if I continue to stream Planet Zoo here, I think I'll probably do this every time. So we'll kick out all of the guests and just have a bit of a soft restart. I will admit, while I was doing that, of course, the finances plummeted because people were leaving, and all we were doing is like feeding our animals, so we were just losing money constantly. So I did drop it from hard mode to easy mode just so that I didn't lose as much money. And you know, I think it's important that I admit that, because I don't want to turn around and be like, I only play this game on hard mode. But when the zoo is open and running, I play it on hard mode. I don't know how permanent that's going to be, but yeah. It might get very difficult because at the moment we're a little short on guest facilities and stuff, so I think it's probably going to be a good idea to start building some little stalls and stuff that I can just dot around the outside of the zoo, so that guests have a little bit more freedom to go off and do things to relax. We also hardly have any benches and stuff, so all of those like little minuscule details that I miss out on when I'm just building habitats and stuff, they're kind of starting to bite us a little bit now. Because as we get more guests and improve our reputation, the demands for those sort of things increases, especially on hard mode. I don't know when I last took a breath when I was talking there, so apologies. Yeah, I was the same, Mischief. I remember I picked it up at like in the early access period and got like the little USB wristband and the t-shirt and stuff, and when it came to full release I really struggled. I struggled to find something that worked for me, and it just made it very difficult to really appreciate the game. And it's an amazing game, and some of the stuff that people create in it is just sensational, but yeah, for me I really struggled, and I would like to try and get back into it, but because there's so much like in-depth creation that goes on in Planet Zoo, you can't really devote the time to two games that have such an insane tool set. It's one of the reasons why I'm struggling to come back and do some more Prehistoric Kingdom videos, because I really want to get back into that, but again, I am staved off with Planet Zoo, and because it's my favourite, I don't see why I should stop playing it to focus on something else. but one of the things that is important with like YouTube and stuff is that you do kind of try to diversify your portfolio, because at some point, I've said this before, this game's support and stuff is going to drop off and the player base will decrease and stuff, and you'll probably get some people picking it up on sale and then coming back in, but it's evergreen content, but to a certain point, I guess. So we're just going to pop a few more rocks in here to try and bulk this out. And then I'm going to drop that one down. And then I think I should be able to just duplicate this. Bring that in here. And sink that in. And then we get a little bit more of a muddy overhang there. And I'll just sink that in a little bit more. Okay, so I think that's a decent first phase for this entire kind of cave system. And what I kind of want to do with the cave is make it look like, again, continuing the temple theme. We're going to put in a load of temple bricks and stuff. It's quite frustrating that everyone's gathered here and they're having some sort of secret meeting, probably plotting their escape. What is this guy doing? Are you... No, you're not doing anything. So you can all leave now because it's sunny. Are you going to get out of there so I can start working on the cave? What's going on? They're just staying in the cave now. They don't want to leave. So now that this is in, I think we should probably have a look at what we can do for this area where the Capuchins are able to escape. So let's just have another look over at the heat map. So you can see here that they can just traverse up here and jump out. So I think what I'll do is I'll try and put in like just a couple of rocks to seal it off. So I think it was here where they could escape. We'll just pop a rock there. Maybe here. And it is kind of sticking out over the edge there, so we will need to tidy that up a little bit, but not too much. And this is where things can get a little bit tricky. If I then we'll put this one down, and then we'll have it kind of like a little overhang at the top there. Something like that. And then if I bring this one in, we can start making a couple of adjustments. Yeah, I totally agree. I think for things like Jurassic World Evolution, the modded content looks really good and it gives you a wider tool set to use, but like even on Planet Zoo, I'm a bit nervous about adding mods and stuff. I might play around with things once the final DLC is released and stuff, and we'll play with a few mods that way, but I don't have any intention of installing any of them. The only ones I would kind of put in right now is some of the retextures, because some of those animal retextures that have been brought out by the likes of Leaf and some of the other people that Leaf works with are incredible. So I'd maybe do some animal retextures and stuff, but nothing... good question, Seth. The worst ones to put in, I would say, are the raccoons. And that's just from personal experience, because they will find a way to escape. We had an infamous raccoon uprising on stream one time. But yeah, I mean, the one thing that you would have to be careful of is the striped skunk, I think. But you could have kind of like a little bit of an overhang. So using, let me just find them. Rather than having it completely open, if I just find the... what are they? Are they the glass ones? Let me just find one, see if I can show you what I mean. So a lot of people who've done the kind of cheaty way of getting the underwater viewing area, they'll use these pieces. If I can just find them, I'll be able to tell you exactly which ones I mean. These ones, the arbor arches. So rather than having it completely open for guests to kind of just walk around in, you could use something like this and just sink it into the ground and run your path through that. I think this is a 4 meter wide thing. So effectively what you would do is you'd create a null barrier and then add like a guest doorway in. And then this would be your walkthrough part of your habitat. And it would kind of work for the raccoons and the skunks, I would say. But then what you could do is you could... let's just get a path in here. I don't think it's going to work because I've... Oh, it will. Yeah, so you've got your path here going in and through. And then what you would do is you would maybe put some supports and stuff on either side. And that would kind of give you a little bit of a walk-through habitat that's covered. And, yeah. But other than that, I think it's just a case of trial and error. I think with the raccoons, beavers, and skunks, I suppose what you could do is rather than having them... Oh, I don't know, actually. It's a good question. I will have to mull over that one because I'm not quite sure how you would make it work. I'd have to have a look at their compatibility and all of that sort of stuff. Right, we're going to have a look at our heat map again. So we've now blocked off the Capuchins from escaping on that side. They can still run over to this side, and it seems like we've blocked it off on all other areas, which is really good. Our giant anteater can still escape through that little section there, and our maned wolf can't escape from there either. So, maned wolf just has that little section there that we need to cover. Which is this tiny little hole here. Ooh, vet research is complete. We're going to leave that for now. And then we'll go back into our biome tropical and South Central America. Right, next up we're going to just throw down some more rocks, I guess. Not a big one, just some of the smaller ones here. Because I'd quite like this area to have a little bit more of a viewing area as it curves round. At the moment, no animals can kind of climb over this. And I think, I don't really like that little step down, but it kind of has to stay in. So let's just, for now, we will add some, where are they, railing on elevated. And I'll just put railings in here for now. And let's see if we can change the railing a little bit. If I just go for a wooden path here, we get a nice wooden railing. But it's not a great looking path. Ornate tile kind of works, but it gives us a bit more of a classical theme. And what else have we got? Hexagon stone. No, it doesn't really work. What about rustic? Rustic again. I don't really like the look of them. The thing is, I don't really want to create like a custom fence to go around here. It might well be that we just need to use the lodge wood, because that gives us a kind of very basic looking fence, which is pretty much what I'm looking for here. And then we just need to think of a way to match up the end of that fence post with some sort of rock. So we'll pop that in. Now, we don't want guests tripping over the stone, so let's pop that one in instead. Because I really like this one now, especially when you angle it upwards like that. And then we'll just try and get it so that there's a little bit of a slide against the wooden post so that it's sinking in like that. There we have it. And it doesn't look amazing, but we'll flesh out the underside of it now. And just try and make it look a bit more... A little bit less deliberate, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. Struggling to find the words tonight for some strange reason. It's been a long day, I suppose, so been a long week. Long week. And then just a few more. Just to bulk it all out a little bit, really, because just having the one rock on its own always looks a little bit lazy. And I'm anything but... well, no, that's a lie. I can be quite lazy. And sometimes I like to let the game just pick where I'm going to put a rock, so... you get a lot of this weird looking extra bits going in that don't really make a lot of sense, but when you kind of look out and see the bigger picture, they do tend to look really cool. There we have it. Right, okay, that's that bit done. And as you can see, we've got a couple of waterfalls here now as well that we're going to need to put a bit of work into. But I think for now, that should have blocked off all of the escape routes. So let's just pause it again. Unpause it. Oh god, no, it hasn't. He's literally just climbed up and got out of there. Oh, and gone straight back in. Yep, that's because the game hadn't registered it. Wow, that was lucky. Okay, so that's done, and it's just the Capuchin escape over on this side, I think it was. Yes, that's the one we need to take care of now, and that'll be a simple fix. We'll just add a little bit of a rock there, I guess. Oh, thank you, Seth. This is a big moment. This is my first tip, so big thanks to Seth for my first ever live stream tip. Wow, what a moment. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. Sorry, I didn't notice it at first. I was too busy. I have my Streamlabs on one screen and then Planet Zoo on another one, and I just never see it. So I didn't know what it looked like when you got one either. So this is quite a moment. So thank you so much for that. That's wow. I really appreciate that. I now just need to keep going with good content, I guess. So right then, let's move on. So that's taken me by surprise massively. So right, we're just going to try and tidy up this area here to stop our Capuchins escaping. I mean, speaking of which, this is a very Jurassic Park inspired enclosure here where it dips in and stops them going out there. Oh, Seth, you're too kind, honestly. Stop it. Oh. Right, okay. They can still escape, so we're going to try and tidy this up a little bit more. Maybe we just need to throw down another, like, larger rock here. But I don't particularly like that because we're going to be... It looks a little bit too unnatural. So unless we can find a way to stop this becoming a bit more of a thing, I guess what we could do is, if we remove this, what I can then do is, I'll put in like a tropical rock formation here, that'll kind of stick out into the habitat, and then what we can actually do is, we can probably attach some education boards to the flat surface of this, maybe like this one. That's a good, I love this one. This is one of the better rocks in game, in case you're looking for stuff to attach things to. So we'll stick that in and pull it up, and then all we need to do is get a good rotation on it that brings it to like a little bit of parity. So if we can then toggle on the correct axis here, and what I want to do is just make it look like these are semi-attached to this stone so that there's some sort of support there. And that should just about do it. But obviously when we come round to this section here, we've got a lot more to develop and just flesh it all out. If you haven't heard any of my videos or seen any of my streams, flesh it all out is definitely one of my most used phrases. When I kind of watch back recordings and listen to myself, I'm like, I need some new language. I need to stop saying the same things over and over again. Like flesh it all out, bulk it out. Lots of very similar, repetitive linguistic terms coming into these videos. Right, I think that should be enough to stop the Capuchins escaping. Now, what we can do later on is we can fill this out with foliage and stuff, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue, although that has just made that look ridiculous. So we're going to get rid of that, and maybe put in something a little bit smaller here, just to flesh it all out. I'll have to put a counter in for how many times I say that. It's just very difficult when you're like live streaming and stuff to not say the phrase that you've just said because it's still fresh in your mind. We'll put a counter in. I'll see if I can get one working. This is one of the differences I'm finding. I mean, I've never streamed on Twitch before, but going between like Twitch and YouTube and stuff as a viewer, you kind of notice that in terms of extras and stuff that you can have on a stream, Twitch certainly has a lot more functionality in that department, but I've always found, I mean, the competition on Twitch is a lot tougher, and I've found like a lot more of my discoverability has increased since I started streaming on YouTube. And like we put that poll out in the community post not too long ago to kind of be like, where should I stream? Because it never really made a difference to me, and I don't really want to divide my stuff in between different platforms because it's a little bit too much for me to handle. Right, let's just have a look, see what's going to happen now. Are they able to escape? Yes, they still are. Why is that? Is it actually something down here that they're able to jump up to? I think it might be. Although it looks like they can jump to that rock there. So we'll come back in and we'll just put one more. And I'm just going to go a little bit overkill here. So we're going to drop this one in and then sink this back into the ground. And that will hopefully provide too much of an overhang for the capuchins to deal with. One other thing I need to mention is that we are going to need to be very careful with our tree placement, because we don't want these guys to be able to just jump on a tree and then jump out of their habitat. So that's another thing we're going to need to watch out for. And it's just going to be a case of finding the right combination of rocks to prevent them clambering out of that enclosure. We'll unpause again. There we go. Right, that's you lot locked in. Right, so that was a little bit time consuming there, but I think, you know, getting up to 37 minutes, that's not too bad. We've done quite a bit. So we've got this lovely little area going down into here that we're going to turn into like again an underground temple for our maned wolf to sleep in. We'll try and leave this as open as possible with a couple of like overgrown bits of foliage sticking out of these rocks, because at the moment they look a little bit boring. So that's the next phase. If you've not seen me build live before, I do everything in layers. So this is my base layer, and then I'll continue adding on until we get a finished project, I guess. So we'll start very much with basic fences, basic rock work, and then we can then really start adding on those extra layers. So rather than creating this stuff for the height requirements of our capuchins, we're going to do a little bit more ground foliage, because I really need to be careful for these guys. So you can see here they need more long grass and less rock. How can you want less rock? I need more rock all the time. So here we need more soil and less rock. And what about our anteaters? Less rock. So as long as we know that less rock is a very good thing for us, we can actually go back into here, and what I could do is I could start filling this completely with long grass to begin with. And that should drive the capuchin out of there, I guess, and allow our maned wolf to have their terrain requirements fulfilled. And obviously it kind of eliminates some of the work we've done there, but what I'll then do is I'll come in with some of the soil again and just give that a little bit of an edge. So let's just have a quick look over here at these guys now. They need more long grass still, less rock again. And I think actually the rock is a consequence of the terrain modifications that I've done here. So you can see there, there's a couple of issues with that all being rock. So we'll change that. That's not a problem. And I guess we just continue this long grass out to here, bring it right up to the water's edge, and maybe have it just flicker around here. Yeah, absolutely. I will. I'll work on that, Georgia. Yeah, I can definitely do that. The thing with the rock work for me is it just kind of comes as I'm doing it. I've not actually done anything, but I will definitely kind of... I think it would be easy enough to mock up, especially something like these objects that I've created specifically for this build. Like the stuff that has that detailing on and things like that. I can definitely do. I think what I do need to do is do like a separate live stream where I'm like let's have a little wander around my zoos, and anything you want me to put in the workshop, just tell me to pause, and then I'll do it. Because I say I'm going to put stuff on the workshop, and then I never get round to it. Still, the only stuff I've got there is the bat barn and the jumps for the Shawalski's horses. They're the only things I have on the workshop right now, and I know for a fact I've told people I'm going to be putting more stuff on there. So I've not got round to it, but I think maybe we should do that next week. If I can get a nice run on next week's Planet Zoo video, because I want to get back to weekly updates here in Arcadia, then on the stream on the Thursday, we'll do a Planet Zoo blueprint making sort of stuff. And then you guys can bully me into tidying some stuff up. Because a lot of the stuff here, if I was to put it on the workshop, you'd take one look at it and be like, why has he got this piece buried in here? It's just the way I build. I end up overusing pieces all the time. And then when I look at a finished object, I'm like, well, you didn't need to put any of that stuff in. So, if we just go back to our main wolf, we will find that we now have fulfilled all of their requirements. The capuchins are looking pretty good. They need more soil, though, which could interfere with our main wolf a little bit. However, what we can actually do is make all of the water beds here heavy soil, just coming out there, and then that should help us fix a couple of things. But I do really like the effect that having grass on your riverbeds has. You can see this like almost elemental green texture coming through there, and that's just from having grass at the bottom of the stream. So that might be something that I do need to kind of play around with and bring back in. And you can see here we've got a couple of issues with this water. A lot of this is actually built on a bit of water work that I did when I first started planning out the wetlands biome. So we have a lot more to kind of discover and figure out there. But the idea was that this water is, you will always be able to, you kind of know the flow. And it flows down from different areas in the wetlands. There's actually, if I just shoot on over to our capybara habitat, which at the moment, I think I've only got the babies in there, or maybe it's completely empty because it was getting out of control. We have this kind of area here at the top that we haven't fully developed at all. That's going to be part of a separate kind of mini-series of episodes where we develop this entire space here into something. But the idea is the water's kind of built up and filled that area, waterfall has come down, and then we follow this stream into our dwarf caiman habitat, which is overloaded with little lizards. And then it comes down here, over past this staff area, past the jaguar habitat, through into the jaguar habitat where we have this really nice, the green effect there, and then it goes into this little grid here, through there. It'll then kind of open out into the little flooded section. I'd thought about putting in some water gates there. Oh, is that the adult? Ah, baby black panther. Yes. Amazing. So yeah, we have a baby black panther now, and then it kind of ends up coming out into this area here where we have a couple of extra waterfalls just pumping more water in. And I had thought about making like a water tower here, because this little corner here is going to be a little bit difficult to edit, but let's get back to the build because I'm talking too much about other stuff and I will get carried away. So we have now fulfilled all of the soil requirements for those guys, and over here they need less soil. This is where there's going to be some very fine margins. So as you can see, the soil requirement for... Wait, was it soil or was it rock? Because they now apparently will take more soil. I'm confused. Right, let's put some more short grass in here so we get that nice effect back on our riverbed. Still less soil, so we'll carry on with that. More long grass on this area here. And actually what we can also do is we can just cheat this a little bit by putting grass here. That should get rid of some more of the soil. So that brings it down to 20%, but I am going to get rid of some more. Right, okay, so now the Capuchins want more soil. Very, very fine margins here. Let's just add a little bit more back in here. 20%. Okay, right, that's good. Maned wolf, 20%. So it is right on that 20% mark for our soil coverage, which means some difficult areas are going to kind of come up, and we may need to cheat things a little bit so that we get a nice, like here, I don't like having riverbeds and banks with, what about sand? Could I put a bit of sand in? Are you okay with sand? No, not at all. Right, okay. For now, we've achieved balance, but the main wolf has already given us our first issue. Right. Now then, let's start planting some foliage. And of course, the first thing I want to do is just go into this cave. And rather than putting in foliage here for now, I'm going to start building my temple. Ooh, caps lock's on for some strange reason. So, the walls here, we know, are going to be about 4 meters. And we're just going to build a basic structure. Right, so the next step then is to put a floor in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my floor down. And then we'll try and fill this out a little bit more. But I really like the idea of having these kind of, you know, like they're coming in a little bit more. But I also don't want to have too much of this terrain exposed. So let's try and fill it all out to our maximum. And of course, this is going to have more soil coverage put in there. So that's not ideal. But we now have the basic inside of this little temple or treasure room, and I just need to make sure that it's not kind of made any interferences there. It hasn't, which is good. And then we'll change that terrain paint to just basic grass. And obviously we do get a little bit of overlap here. Oh, Santa Raptor, that's very nice of you to say. I'm really really happy to hear that. You'll all be falling asleep later when we play Terra Nil, though, because I will be very relaxed myself, and then it's never a good ending to a stream. So we go back to our temple stuff here, and we want the 1 meter high temple walls, which we're going to bring all the way up to the top, and then go into that section there. And that should then allow us to just cover up any of the imperfections. And we're not going to worry too much about it because we're actually going to use a little bit more rock work to really finish this all off. But here we now have this underground temple area, treasure room, where our animals are going to be able to sleep. Doesn't look amazing yet, but we're gonna make some adjustments and sort it all out. So I just want to where are we? Smooth tool, and I need to take off use selected. I just want to sample my paint here, because we need to level this out again, and that means we get a little bit of overlap coming into there, and that's okay, because I want it to kind of look like a lot of the earth and stuff has moved down as we've got like drainage and stuff, and that's just carried this little body of silt into that treasure room. So it's all about kind of creating a lore within my zoos. That's another way I like to work. You got to imagine that these locations have been here for a long time, and we are in year 161 of this zoo, so there's a lot of history. Just punch my mic for you there, just in case you wanted your eardrums blasted out. Right, okay. So next up, now that we've boxed that out, we're going to come back in with some nature. And it's all going to be tropical South and Central America plants. So I do apologize because you've seen this all before over the last few weeks. We're going to be using our wonderful Scaviola bushes once again. My favourites when you're dealing with this sort of stuff. And this is hopefully going to negate the awkward looking texture collisions that we have when we go from this stark brown colour to the green. Like, this is the sort of thing that I really don't like when I'm building. And unfortunately, because of the terrain requirements for the animals that we have, there's not a lot we can do about it. We just have to work with what we've got, which is why we then start coming in with a bit more foliage. But we also have to be acutely aware of the fact that our maned wolves, they don't like too much foliage. So we really need to choose wisely when we decorate with our basic grass stuff. Because what we don't want is to overdo it down here and risk disappointing our new wolves. So we're going to start again, like I've said, with scaviolas, just going in little areas here, and we want to kind of then trail it all the way up. So we've got to look for little areas where we could possibly have these bushes growing, and the idea is that they kind of grow down from above, or, as would often happen, grow on the top here and spill out into the rest of this habitat. So what we can do is we can get a nice big 4-meter bush here. Maybe we just need to use a selection of 2 meters and build them up. There's a lot less space than I was imagining on the top here, actually. I thought, and that's good, that works in our favor because we can use less to get the coverage we desire. And I don't actually know, because I'm not too good with the mechanics of Planet Zoo, I don't actually know if the coverage here is worked out as a percentage or just for the size of the animals themselves. We've already got 1% coverage there, and I think they can only take about 20%. So if 1% is this tiny little area here, when we start putting in our trees and stuff, that's going to be a bit of an issue for us. So we just need to be aware of it, because if it works out and the maned wolf isn't going to work here, we're going to need to either adjust the habitats and create some new stuff, or just substitute the maned wolf for a new animal. And that could come when the tropical pack releases. We might be able to just put in, I don't know, some sort of tropical pack animal. And that could solve our problem. But I don't want to reduce the habitat size too much. Yeah, 21% plants. Their maned wolves are escaping. So this is already kind of developing the way that we want it to. You can see we've got some overgrowth of the scaviola bushes. That's creating a nice little montage here within the entrance to this temple. And we're just going to have it continue to spill down. And it doesn't matter that we're sinking bits in. This is what I really like about the scaviola bushes. They, yeah, joining the raccoons. Oh dear. I haven't forgotten that. I mean, I solved the issue, but my word, what a nightmare that was. And then we just add a little bit more in here. Just a touch overspill there. And what we can then do is, we've got that nice little overhang going on, where it kind of wraps around that rock, and that's a lovely little scene there. We'll then come in with some Spanish hanging moss or something. So let's go to our moss again. Maybe liana vines could work too. I want to use these a little bit more predominantly when we are working on the canopy for our capuchins, so they'll be able to climb across that. If you watched the sloth launch, there's going to be some climbing animation. Oh no, it wasn't. It was one of the primates. What was it? Someone remind me what monkey we're getting in the new expansion. Now then, we're going to use some bromeliad plants here. And they just add a little bit of an extra texture to the overgrown scaviolas. And again, we go back to the cordyline. Lar gibbon, yes, that was the one. The lar gibbon had a really nice animation going through on some of those liana vines. It was really cool. So I think the capuchins do the same. So it'll be be a really good addition to the game, and I'm hoping to use that in this build as well. But again, we might be able to put the log gibbon in here and just have like a multiple primate habitat. And it's a bit unfortunate because I really wanted the maned wolf to work, and if they don't, it's going to be a little bit disappointing because I really want a nice lush coverage in here, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do it without sacrificing the wolves, which is a bit of a shame. Now, let's get some Spanish hanging moss in here, and this is going to start giving our temple here a little bit more texture to it. So what I'm going to do is, we're going to have this set quite far back, this first Spanish hanging moss curtain, and then we're going to bring a few more, but bring them forward, and that's just going to start creating a nice backdrop here. The problem I have with this Spanish hanging moss is often the texture doesn't look amazing, especially when you kind of look at it side on. It's very, you know, not the best designed foliage work. If I'm going to be very critical of the devs. I think they could have made it a little bit more, I don't know, three-dimensional, I guess. And then the tendrils we're going to put in and just have them sinking up into the rockwork there. So we've got this nice little curtain developing. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our rocks, and we're going to take some of the mossy rocks, and we're going to just get these. You can see I'm using the align to surface tool, and that's, you know, it has its own kind of pitfalls with it, but we're using it because it gives it's best for quick building. That took a while to say, didn't it? Yeah, I definitely think we do a bit of a retexture of the Spanish hanging moss would be really good. I think just to give it a little bit more of a three-dimensional feel. It looks a little bit too, I don't know. When you compare it to the other textures we've got in game and stuff, it never seems to, I can never get it to look right. So just kind of having it in there and then just leaving it as a background, I could then come in with it. And it's just a bit strange because the liana vine curtains look great. They've got a little bit more about them, but they just, yeah, there's something about them that I don't like. But we're going to pop on over here because I want to use some strangler fig roots and just have these poking out the bottom. Now these are going to be important later on because we're going to be using strangler figs as our main kind of tree for this habitat. It's simply because I absolutely love them. So this is on a little bit of a weird angle, but if we can then just sink it back into here and try and get it just in front of the Spanish hanging moss, then it starts to have a little bit more about it. So popping that in, now you can see the Spanish hanging moss has gotten a little bit lost in those roots, and that is the best I can do in terms of making Spanish hanging moss work within a habitat. When you kind of jumble it in amongst other things, it's got a really nice look to it because you're not distracted by the bad texture on it. I mean, the texture isn't bad. It looks good from a distance, but it doesn't look great up close. And that's the one thing that can be off-putting, especially if you're trying to create like a nice backdrop for a screenshot or something, or you want it as part of a tour. If you adjust that camera ever so slightly, it's going to mess the whole thing up because you'll see how bad it looks. Anyway, enough complaining about the Spanish hanging moss. It's not that bad. It's just comparatively with other stuff that's available, it isn't good. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. But we're starting to get something resembling a really nice looking bit of foliage there. We're just going to have a check on our main wolves. 2%. So that's okay. That's not too bad. The big jumps are going to come when we start adding trees. So what I'm actually going to do is, just so that I've got a little bit of peace of mind, we're going to go and find our nice big trees. So I want a strangler fig, and I want this big one here. We're going to put a strangler fig right here, just on the edge of this little pool here. And then we're going to grab the other one And that's going to be the dominant strangler fig. And we're going to put that right here, right on the curve of that rockwork there. And that means we can put a load of roots there. And we've got a nice big strangler fig in there. And then another of these curved ones. And I'm going to set that up there. And then what we can do is we can put some artificial, like, climbable tree branches and stuff in here and link all of them up. And what we'll do is we'll put on, like, a little shelter on this large, stronger strangler fig for our capuchins so that they can go up there and have a bit of an escape. And I might have a go at building, like, a round platform that has, like, some sort of structure to it. Don't quote me on that, though, and please don't hold me to it, because I can't guarantee that I'm going to do that. Right, so that brings our coverage up to 8% for our maned wolves, and I kind of feel like I should do one more. Or maybe a smaller one here. And then we'll put some bamboo in, not bamboo, what are they called? I always like to put tamarind trees in, so we'll put a tamarind tree in, and I'd like to create kind of like a small mangrove as well. But this is where we're going to start running into issues, because as we start to eat further into that maned wolf, it's 12% now, you see. I want to do some mangrove trees at some part. I think the mangrove stuff's going to go here. Just to mix it up a bit and create a kind of really natural looking biome. So if I just put all of these trees in first, I'll then be able to have a little bit more of an idea on how we're going to be able to decorate the habitat in terms of the foliage. Now I'll just put a big coat. What are you doing? Go home, mangrove, you're drunk. And then we put another mangrove in, like right in the middle there. And then we know we can decorate that sort of stuff. Oh, thank you, Last Hope. I'm really pleased to hear that. This is a very wholesome chat tonight. I'm really, really happy about this. God, you're too kind, all of you. Right, okay, so we're at 15%. And then we want to put in some coconut palms. And this is just going to disrupt things a little bit. Maybe we should go for a different one. The Brazil nut trees we've already used. Acai palms, they're the ones. So we'll put a couple of these in. Just to bulk it all out. I wanted to create kind of like a little bit of a forest, I guess, like a tropical forest. So if we can do that and still keep the maned wolves in, I'll be very happy. So we're at 19%. I think the coverage is about 30%. So that gives us, ballpark figure, 11% coverage to play around with. And we've got a lot of foliage to fill in here. As you can see, if we just zoom out, we've got this huge area that we need to work on. And I do like this idea of having these. They're a bit uniform at the moment, so we might mix that up a little bit. But for me and foliage and stuff, I like to cover it as much as I possibly can. Now, obviously down here, we're just going to be doing trim work. So just carrying on this Scaviola like leadership and stuff. Hello, Diz, welcome to the stream. Glad you could make it. We're going to carry that on all the way up to this area here. And then here, I'd probably do the same. So I want to leave like a little bit of a trail that kind of works its way through, as if the movement of our animals has kind of carved it out. One of the interesting things I found when I was doing my little kind of speculation video on stuff we were going to get in Planet Zoo is there's a very specific type of hog that I was hoping we were going to get called the bearded hog or the bearded pig. And what it actually does is it follows capuchin monkeys through the forest, because when capuchins eat fruit and stuff, they obviously they drop stuff down to the forest floor, and the bearded pig will follow capuchins through and just eat the fruit that they drop. It's very interesting, and it kind of shows that merging ecosystem working together. So what I could do actually is, if the maned wolf don't work, we can use the new hog that we're getting. Somebody tell me what it's called in the chat, because I've forgotten. You know the one I mean. We could actually bring these in. Or I could take the maned wolf out and put the Baird's tapir in here, but that would leave an empty habitat. So, not ideal, but it might be worth considering. So, let's continue working on this. In fact, no, I'm not going to work on this. You've seen me enough of that. Yes, the bony and bearded pig. That's the one that I was hoping we'd get, and it's not the one we ended up getting. I know, Wolfie, I'm really trying to keep them in for you. This is why I'm really working hard. So you've seen me do this kind of spilling over of foliage onto rocks and stuff. So let's do something else. Let's work on the base of our tree here. So what we're going to start with is, once again, we're going to grab a Scaviola bush here, a 4-meter one this time, and we're just going to sink that in a little bit so it's sticking out into the water. And the thing is, Scaviolas can look a little bit boring, so it's just a bit unfortunate that they're one of the few tropical South American bushes that we've got here that we can continue playing around with and giving us a nice bit of coverage. So what I like to do is, because they've got this really nice curvature to them where they kind of bulge at the top, you can then start putting stuff like we've already seen. If I just take the plumeria flowers here, we can, so this plumeria flower, if it wasn't for the Scaviola, it would just be floating in the air. If I just delete that now, that plumeria is floating in the air. But with the Scaviola, it looks like it's kind of grown up through the Scaviola and we've got this nice looking effect. And it's just a way to kind of give you a nice bit of coverage in a tropical South American style habitat, whilst being able to give it a little bit of colour. I think that might be floating a little bit. It doesn't look like it is, but it might. No, it's not. It's fine. We'll just sink it down a little bit just for my sake. And then again, we'll come back in with, what else have we got? What else can we put in? I know what I'll put in. I'll put a giant rhubarb in. So giant rhubarb is another one of my favourites if you can get it working right, because it's got a nice big area of coverage and it gives us a little bit more in terms of alternating textures. I'm not going to put it there though, but it's a good one to have in, and you can always put it in some of the corners and stuff here just to fill in a little bit of space. And then we'll get some more Scaviolas just going down here. And what we want to do is, with these bushes here, we want to just merge these down into the ground, so as you kind of come away from the tree, the amount of coverage we get from these gets smaller and smaller and smaller until eventually there's nothing left. And then we can put a lobster claw in right in the middle. If I just get the large one, we can put that right here, so it's got a little bit more of a, so it doesn't look like there's that gap there. And then we'll come in with some monkey face orchids. And again, we'll just drop them into the Scaviola so that we've got a nice pop of colour coming through those bushes. And again, another plumeria flower just on the edge of this one here when I can get that in. But I'll give it a little bit of a rotation. Sometimes when you rotate it, it doesn't really make any difference, but other times I find it does, and it just all depends on where the flowers are kind of positioned within the design of the plant. And that gives us this nice little area here, but we of course need to put in some strangler fig roots here, because this is a strangler fig after all. So we're going to angle them slightly, and if we can find the mashed up pillar one, that might be a bit better. Yeah. Okay, so we will add that in, bring it down, and just spread it out a touch so that it's kind of going into our water here. And again, kind of need to pay attention to the way in which the strangler fig grows. So you've got, it's growing out at an angle and then curves back round. So we would effectively need more support on this side going into the pond here. So we're going to again duplicate these root pillars and just pop a few more in so that you've really got this effect of it adding strength to the strangler fig itself. And we're not just going to be using this one, we're going to change it up a little bit and put in a couple of more textures of the fig roots. But once that's in place, we can then just go back to our nature tab, find some more roots and add them in as well. So these edging pieces work really well because they're a little bit slimmer than the rest of them. So we can drop those in. And then again, I'm just going to grab this strangler fig root just because it's in a nice position. And then I'll add in the larger one here. See if we can get this to work. There we have it. So you just create little scenes in throughout your habitats. Now obviously this looks very bare at the moment, but we need to keep checking on these guys. We're at 19% still. Still at 19%. Wow. Okay. Very interesting. Very good to know. That gives us a lot more to work with. So what I'll then do is I'll start duplicating bits of this foliage here. And then we'll just pull that across. But again, we're going to have to just rotate this a touch because we're now working on a bit of an angle here. And for some reason, I can't rotate any of it. Oh, what happened there? Okay, let's just try that again, shall we? Oops. I've grabbed... Yeah, this is one of the problems with... knowing that there's an underground section. Right, that's better. Right, we've got it now. Yeah, it doesn't like that either. Right, come on, game. Let me do my thing, please. Had a lot of trouble grabbing that axis there. How strange. Is it because... Wow, what's happening right now? Come on, you. Right, we're going to bring you out. There we go. Now we're talking. So we'll sink that in. And then pull it a bit further out. Give it a little bit of a rotation when it allows me to. Has anyone ever seen this before? Like, there is absolutely no way for me to select that axis. And I'm just wondering if it's... yeah, I've broken the game, Georgia. You're right. I've totally broken the game. Right, okay. We're going to... add a little bit more in here then. We'll just do it by hand and not save myself any time whatsoever, which was the whole aim of this, to not be doing too much. And it's done it again. So I'm just going to duplicate it. Yeah, it still won't let me do it. Right, we'll duplicate it and we'll just have a little bit of a soft reset there. And then just continue moving this foliage along. And then as you can see, we've got a little bit of a gap here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go grab a rock. Any rock will do. And then we're going to pop this down here, sink it into the ground. And just have it kind of stick out a little bit. That might be too big. So again, I'll stop trying to cut corners and just do it the normal way. Grabbing this one here, sinking that in. There we go. Right, it just gives us a little bit more of a texture to the whole thing. Just the tiniest little rock in there, and then we can drop this down. And this is how we're going to kind of cover up the fact that we can't use a lot of soil because of our maned wolves. So you can see, Wolfie, I'm really trying here with these maned wolves, so give me some credit. There. Yeah, it seems to be whenever I go further down there, it's not having it. But that's okay, we'll forgive it. It is, after all, just a game. You're welcome, Wolfie. I'm trying not to let you down. And then I'm going to drag this rock here, which is one of my favourites, as I've already said, probably 6 or 7 times. Yeah, it seems like whenever I go kind of below the, what it would consider like the natural kind of area, it just won't let me move it any further on the axis. But there we go, we get a nice little spread there. And we could potentially put in some aquatic plants, but again, because of the animal requirements and stuff, we might not be able to do that. Now, we've got a little bit of dead space here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit of a sleeping space for our giant anteaters. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of a play around here with these pieces that I've already designed. And I'm going to bring this in. We're going to rotate it around so that it's on a bit of an angle here. And then we're going to try and just sync it up. I don't think that was the right one to use, but we'll give it another go. 15-degree rotation. And bring it into here. Yeah, that works. And then again, bring it further along. So it's backing out onto that scaviola, the strangler fig. Another rotation. Now, you can see the issue here. It's because I've got these angled slightly differently. So what we may need to do is just remove these ones. Because this is now going to be a shelter, we want to just make a little bit of an adjustment here. And again, it looks like that one isn't correct either. So we'll just slide this further along itself. It's not really a problem. We can always adjust the path, so it's not too much of an issue. As long as we can get this lined up to create our new kind of sleeping space, it should be okay. So that's in now, and then that one can come across too. I'll delete this one, and then we'll have the last step of the wall kind of go into here. And then we'll give it a slight rotation so that it's sticking outwards instead to like here. There we go. And then just for argument's sake, what we could actually do rather than doing that at all is delete that. And then we'll copy and rotate this one. Oh, with the bloody angle snap on, please. What the hell have I done? Right, let's try this again. There, that's better. And now we just need to put kind of like a roof on this. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try and add something directly on top of this. So we'll try and continue the bamboo all the way up to create a little bit more of a structure. And then I'm going to lash it with bamboo or thatch. So what it might be worth doing is actually just adding all of these to a group. Then we should be able to edit the whole thing. Right, this is going to be a bit of a difficult one. So what time are we on? How long have we been at this? Only an hour? God, we've done a lot in an hour. I should build with you guys all the time because this would normally be taking me absolutely ages. Right. So, we've got mesh there. And then what we want to do is kind of build a framework going all the way across. So we're going to find our bamboo. And it's going to be the thin painted bamboo. We're going to bring it all the way down here. And then we should be able to match it all up like with ease. So we're going to grab another thin painted bamboo. I think we might be able to do this with a 2-meter one, and that should line it all up. Oh, no. Maybe a 1-meter one would do it then. Yeah, exactly, it does. Right, so we're going to take a 1-meter one here, and then another 1-meter one, and then we'll sink this 1-meter one into the 1-meter one we already have. That's a lot of 1-meter ones to say, isn't it? But it looks like we've got a bit of an issue here where it's not lined up properly. And that, my friends, is why you don't merge everything into a group until you know it's going to work as a structure. So we'll get rid of them. And then I think that might have undone the group that we've done. Yes, it did. So we will take... What we're going to need to do is probably delete these ones again. I have an idea now. If we create this section and then duplicate it, we should be able to spin it round and it would all kind of match up. So, that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. Right, we're going to group these sections here. They're going to be grouped. Then, if we duplicate this, it should spin around and slot perfectly into position. So it kind of does. And that bodes well. So we're going to edit this section now. And we're going to start by putting the thinner 2-meter poles on the top of our bamboo here. The central pieces. Now, I've just spotted where the mistake is there. So, before I group them again, I'm just going to move this piece. In fact, we'll delete that bit. And then duplicate this one again to here. So that they're sitting inside of each other. Same with that one. That one's fine. Now we duplicate now we can group these ones. And that should have solved the issue. Then we can edit this. Go back into our construction tab. And we're going to do 2-meter there. 2-meter there. And I do kind of want it to, I guess, merge into each other at the top there. So this kind of had like a 2 angle on it, I think it was. And then if we duplicate this again, just pop it on the end there. Pop that one on the end. And then angle that one down one more and angle that one down one more. Are they gonna... Oh, poetry in motion, everybody. It worked. It worked. Right, that's what I was looking for. So we get this little angle here, and what we can then do is we can just lash a load of thatch to it. But first of all, we should probably just kind of create like a bit of a framework on the top there. That's not quite what I'm looking for, but if we just angle it back up, what I want to try and do is have this framework here. This is where things get a little bit difficult, and I probably should have done it using the standard method of creating a circular. Wait. I'm doing this all wrong. Let's get rid of those 2 pieces. 1 meter piece on the end there, and 1 meter piece on the end of that. Then we go, no, I don't want to, I want my angle snap back on. That goes across twice. This goes across twice. Maybe 1 more. And 1 more from you. Duplicate it. So they're a little bit off center, but that's okay. We can make that work. In fact, what I might do is just get rid of that. Pop that one in, and then we sink it in. Okay, and then we kind of need to repeat this process on this next bit here. So again, we'll come in with this one and swap that to the world axis, move it across, back off the world axis, and directly across should have it match up nicely. And it does. All right. So what I'm hoping is going to happen now, we're going to colour all of this the correct colour of bamboo, which should match the rest of the build. And then we should probably do something. I think this might not work for a couple of reasons, but I just want to do like a little bit of a test first, so I can kind of see what we're going to be looking at when we finish this off, because I think we're missing another framework structure. But in actual fact, that's very close, and actually all we need to do is copy that framework and move it across. So I'm going to confirm this, and then what we are then going to end up with is some flat bits of thatching here on these corner pieces, and they'll go up to an upper framework on top of it. So we'll just lash a load of thatching stuff to it and hope that it works out well. If that doesn't work, what we're going to do is we're going to try and kind of create something with some of the artificial sticks and stuff that should hopefully fill it all in and make it look a bit like we've lashed reeds and stuff to it. I could use some foliage and things to just cover it all up, but that's going to eat into our habitat quite a lot. So this works pretty nicely, so I'm going to do that. We'll confirm that change, and then all we need to do now is merge these into one group. Then we can go back into the edit. We can remove this, and hopefully that is going to work for our animals. Next then, what we're going to need to do is just grab these posts here. We then duplicate an advanced move, give them that rotation to bring it in line with the other section. Pull this all across. And it starts to line up very nicely. And again, we just rotated full rotation here. Pull this all the way back across. And obviously, it's not quite perfect, so we've got to do a little bit of adjusting on it. Now, as you can see, it has these gaps. But of course, it's very easy to fill these in with rope coils. Not the large ones, though, just the small ones. And oh, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you doing? Get back on the axis I want you on. So we bring these rope coils as close as we can to the join. Like that. And then all we need to do is try and fit in a smaller one here. Bring it all the way up. And that forms the rope support structure. Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're cooking. Amazing. Right, now we get more small coils here. And again, we put them in there and one on the top here. And this will hopefully merge with the one on the bottom there to make it look like it's all lashed together very nicely. This one will do the same, coming all the way along. And again, with this one here. So it gives it a really nice bit of strength. And it makes it look like a really well detailed kind of space. And again, we come along here and all we do is we just pop in the fine details. And the next difficult part is, of course, going to be trying to work out how we're going to turn this into a covered roof. Why have I just put that on the floor? They're the ones we've done. That one's ready to go, that one's ready to go, and that one's ready to go. Right, okay, so again, it's just a case of moving these rope structures back in, getting them all lined up nicely. And you can, and you know, you do end up cheating it. So we've got these, like, gaps in our structure here, but it's actually all starting to resemble one solid piece now, so this is why I don't worry too much if the actual base goes a little bit wrong. Because again, you find out, you work out a method to make it work all the time. And it saves you kind of going back and destroying everything and starting over on a build. Which is one of the things that frustrated me so much when I first started playing Planet Zoo. These don't need to be perfectly aligned. You've got to remember that we're dealing with rope and bamboo here, so you know the margins aren't perfect. There are going to be janky bits of it, and that's just how I like to build. I call it rustic. Some people call it bad building, but I just call it rustic. That's what we go for here, rustic builds, and it just helps create like a natural environment, I guess. And I really like using the rope and bamboo. It's what they were made for, so why not? It's a really cool little idea and a really nice kind of bit of a build set for me. And again, I'm not lying when I say this. Like 3 or 4 months ago, I had not even played with these pieces before. Like everything that I've built so far in Arcadia has been that kind of like weird modern mix, or it's been the European style rustic stone and woodwork stuff. If you've not seen any of the other episodes that I've done for Arcadia, it's that's been the theme, and the tropical sort of stuff was the only ones. Yeah, exactly, and that's what I like to go for. I don't build a lot of like large structures either, and I've seen quite a few really good ones that some of the pros, shall we call them, do, and I can't do it. I can't do it. The scale of it all terrifies me for one, but also for me it doesn't look amazingly right when I kind of come in to build things. I prefer everything to be a little bit smaller. Right, now we need to lash something to it. So we do have these African stick panels, and they're made of bamboo, and if they stop being crazy, we might just have a quick look and see how these. They're actually not bad. I mean, they're too long, which is a big shame. Although, actually, if we... let's just take them out of there a second. Pull them up. You know what? We could make this work. This could work. Although, I think when we do the crossovers, it's not going to look right. What about these panels? They're all quite small as well. They're all quite, like, just a little bit too big. Ah, what a shame. Right, okay, so the bamboo doesn't work there. What about thatch? This is where things might start to go a little bit awry for us, really. We need the thatch panels, and in terms of the I've never really got on with the thatch panels because I think they look they really do look strange, having that weird outline to them makes it very difficult to decorate with. But then when you have a look at the palm thatch roof, there's no such trim on them. Like, why couldn't they just give us like a flat texture when it comes to using these pieces? The palm. Oh, there it is. There it is. But it's a 4-meter piece, so you can't angle it. Like, you can't rotate it. It's only rotatable on one axis, so it doesn't help us. So I was right. I was right. Our other option is to use these cones and try and make something work with them. In fact, have I just created something that works perfectly with these cones? Let's find out, shall we? Oh my god, we kind of have. Right, okay. Oh, and everything goes unintentionally right. You've just got to enjoy it, haven't you? I wasn't expecting that to work. But now we need to kind of make it work with the rest of the habitat. Or rather, the rest of the building. So we're going to need to do a little bit of angling work here to kind of make it all fit. I mean, it's doable. It just means that when we kind of look inside here, we're going to have all of these weird circles. But what we could do is just create a little bit of a hide and try and just mask all of the stuff in there. I don't want it to go through the bamboo is the problem. But at the same time, I don't want it to look like that. Which doesn't actually look too bad. It's just not exactly a feast for the eyes, shall we say. Right, I'm going to leave that thatch on the top because I do think that looks good. Or maybe we can put the 4-meter cone on instead. Wait a minute. Yeah, okay, so the 4-meter cone won't work either. Well, it will work here, and I think I will leave that on because that's got a bit more coverage with it. And it looks like it's sitting quite nicely on top of that. So we'll leave that in. Now we just need to find a way for, you know, being able to add something else in, like this thatch roof ridge. Can I rotate this? I can. But again, it's just a bit too long for what I want to do. So that doesn't work either. Okay. Let's try and have a look at what materials we've got. Organic materials. And then we can... What about those grass? These plant... Yes. Sorry, that's not happening. 2 by 2 meter planted panels are the way forward, I think. We could lead that up to thatch, but I think this is going to be the way to go. This is too good an opportunity to pass up, really, isn't it? So we can make this work with ease. So that one will go there, and then these just overlapping quite nicely should give us a really, really fresh looking roof to this habitat. Yeah, that works. And then we'll go back to this axis and just try and pull it into place a little bit. And for this, I don't actually mind that we've got these little overlaps here, because it adds a little bit more of a dimension to it. Georgia, this one I think is a conservation pack piece. It kind of slipped under the radar, I think, and it's yeah, it's a really, really nice looking piece, in my opinion, and it's got a lot of good uses. This being one of them. I think it was a conservation pack edition anyway, so I could be wrong. but I'm pretty sure that's what it came out in. And again, because this is just covered in foliage, the ramshackle nature of the way that I'm putting it all together, aka me being lazy because we've been building this one for quite a while, doesn't look too bad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a conservation pack, like new with that. But that's looking really good. I'm very, very pleasantly surprised by that. So if we can actually just, let's see if we can duplicate this and then bring it down a little bit, pull it out. No, that's not going to work. Let's just merge this across a little. Because what we're ending up with now is this little extra nubbin that we don't want. Can we just rotate it a little bit? Hello, Maria. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Right, so this is where we have a little bit of a problem with it, like kind of sticking down into that area there. So let's see if there's anything else we can use to just build it up a little bit. I think what would be really nice to just break it all up would be just adding some little panels in here. So if we can find just a nice little... If this South American fence, if that texture, that kind of like leaf, overlapping leaf section was just on its own as like a separate piece, that would be really useful. But because it's got the trim on it, it's not going to work for us. I'm just trying to think what else we could use. Because we've got the angle there now, it's a little bit difficult to kind of work out what it is we're going to put in place. There's also these basic conservation grass panels that we could make use of. But again, a 2 meter by 2 meter square, it would be really nice if we had like a 1 meter by 1 meter square. You know, that would kind of really make up for anything and give you the ability to kind of fill in these little gaps that you can create when you're doing this. But we don't have that, so we can't really complain about it too much. We just need to get on and work out what we're going to do. What about these sunshades? Will they work? Because they're a triangle. And I'm working on a triangle right now. Let's see. I mean, they're African sunshades, so they don't really fit in with the theme here. But I think if we can make it, I'm willing to try anything at this point. So if we can just rotate these around, I'm going to rotate it all the way around here so we've got the point. Now the problem we're going to run into now is when we put this in, it's going to be sticking out of the top massively. So again, they're too big. It's almost like everything is just too big at the moment. So we're going to need to just really think hard about this. Organic doesn't seem to be working for us. We might need to change our tactic a little bit here. Let's just have a quick look at what build pieces we have available to us. So if we go to props, are there any props that we could just slip in there to make it work? What I will do, while I'm kind of trying to figure this out, I'm going to add the toppers here. And what are they called again? Planted wood panel. There we go. Right, so if we just add this to the top here, I've just had a horrible thought. Like, imagine if I do all this work and then the tapir can't even... Not the tapir. The anteater can't even access it. I've just had a thought, though. What we could do if this works and we can get this all sectioned off, we could just leave these as, like, open spaces to let some natural light in. And that sounds very lazy of me, but... for the amount of time that we're spending on it at the moment, I think that could be the way to go. Now I've got a bit of a gap here. I'm just going to pull this one across. And then we kind of have like a a long line in the back there. But we'll figure that out. In fact, if we just duplicate one of them, and then I'm going to stick a full rotation on it. Not that kind of rotation, but a angled rotation. There. That fills that in. And then we'll just grab the entire section here and move it all the way across. And the same again here. There we go, that fits in nice. And then all the way across here to finish off the roof section here. And we're kind of left with these little gaps, but you know what? I don't think that looks too bad. And I think what we can do is we can continue these on down here and just kind of attach them to this meshwork. So if we just duplicate this one, rotate it, and drop it in. And it can just kind of hang off the edge there. Yeah, that's looking really good actually. I am gonna leave them open, and I could put in like a little bit of mesh or something. And I'm only gonna have this go down on the one side, so the other sides are gonna be left as they are. And then we're left with like little bits of the framework coming through. Oh, actually, yeah, there's those glass pieces, isn't there? Yeah, what a great idea. Let me have a look. Yes, where are they? Because that would be a really good one. These. Yeah. Now, what angle? Something like that. Or is it? It's the other way, isn't it? Oh, God. Yep, this is going to work if I just get my act together and put the proper rotation on it. I think this is going to work, isn't it? Right, okay. Let me just have a quick look inside here. Do you know what? There's a little bit of clipping there, but I think that works real nice. What about the hexagon? That's huge. We can't use that. That doesn't work either. So it looks like that is there's no way that's a 2 meter. And that one isn't either, but the triangle. You know, I don't mind so much what it looks like on the... Unless... Yeah, I don't mind what it looks like on the inside too much. I like that we've got bits of the framework sticking out here. I like that it fills that gap, so that's going to stay. That's a great idea. Thank you very much, Seth. That was that really makes the build, actually, because you're going to get little pops of reflections coming off the when the natural light hits it. And they do, for the most part, fit in quite nice. I think from the inside it's not going to look amazing, but I'm not going to be looking at the inside so much, so it works real nice for us. It's actually only that side that needs a bit of a tidy up, but all in all, that's looking pretty nice. It's a bit boxy, but I'm pretty happy with that. We got this nice little opening there. I literally think that's the... Wait a minute. Is that 2 bits of glass that I've put in there? Yes, it is. And the actual... That one there works fine. Yep. Right. Happy with that. You know, we could do a little bit more work on it to flesh it out a bit more, but I think that's good. I think the... giant anteaters are going to fit in nicely in there. Let's just press play a second and we'll just have a quick look. They can get in there, they can gain access to it, and that is fantastic. Right, so, and obviously the main wolf still only at 19%. So what else have we done? We've done a little bit of foliage here, so you've kind of seen the stuff that I do around about like the base of trees and things. And we've got this waterfall that we kind of need to flesh out now, and the one over here. We also need to do our staff area. I am going to have a quick break, and then we'll be right back for another hour of Planet Zoo, and then after that we're going to move on to some Terra Nil. So I will be right back in about 3 to 4 minutes. Hello, I have returned. Right, okay. So, I'm going to let you guys decide what I build next. I can either do a little bit more tree foliage and stuff, but I sense that could get a little bit boring after another hour of it. Or we could focus on the staff building. or the waterfall sections. You can decide. I'm happy to do whatever. The first comment gets it, so you tell me what you want. There we go, Wild Wolfie. Wild Wolfie. Wolfie has decided for us. It is time for some waterfall stuff. Hello, Pandy. Nice of you to join us. I was wondering when you were going to come along. We're going to do this waterfall section now then. So, as you can see, this doesn't look great. So, we're going to need to do that. Oh, hang on. Those waterfalls are upside down. Oh, man. You try to be prepared, but yeah. That's why those waterfalls don't look great, because they're upside down. Is this one upside down as well? No, that one's the right way up. Right, okay. Let's just change that, shall we? Right. Making sure that I'm on my angle snap. Flip that around. And then backwards. We're going to have to do a little bit of an adjustment here to bring it back in level. There we go. Oh dear. Rookie mistake. So we'll flip this all the way around. And then flip it forward. And of course, down into the ground. And this one was a little bit lower, so I'm going to put that one there. And then this one. It's a statement piece. The aim is actually to get all of the guests who walk past that area soaking wet by giving them a nice ocean spray as they go past. Right. There we go. Now we're kind of back on a little bit more of an even footing with it. Pull this out as far as we can. But not too far. There we go. Now, we just need to make sure that this is still a bit of a stacked effect. And is this rock sticking out? Yes, it is. So I'm going to this needs to either stick right out like that and go down a little bit. Yeah, that's a little better. Right, let's just play a second. There we go. That gets rid of the water spraying up in the wrong direction. Okay, now, so this is kind of starting out as a little bit of an area that we need to work on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this rock pillar that I've created here. Not the actual waterfall itself, though. I can't grab any of the other rocks, so we'll just move on. And then we will pull this across. Push it in. And we can start building this all up. And then we'll just move a few more rocks into place. Now, I did want to create something a little bit different for this section and make it look a bit more like it's an artificial waterfall. So I wanted to play around with adding a few like little water pumps and stuff in that's kind of drawing water up to the waterfall section itself. And as you can see, we don't have any extra bits here, so I'm just going to come along here and just grab one of my pieces, if I can find one that's not being grouped up with anything else. What do we got? Have we got one here? We got one there. Yeah, that's just on its own, so we're going to grab that. Pull this all the way across, bring it up. And then we should be able to fit it in and make it look like there's a bit of earth and stuff crumbling away down into this section here. There we go. Nice. Okay, that's looking good. And because we've already got these rocks and stuff in. Oh, and all right, a waitress in an art place, right? I wonder what people said about it being like a year. That's amazing. That's incredible. It's like, oh, has anyone else seen that video where they go into an art gallery and they just put like, I think they put an empty frame on the wall without the security noticing. They just put like a frame with nothing in it on the wall, and people are looking at it and analysing it and trying to work out what the meaning behind it all is. And it's as a social experiment, I thought it was fantastic. It cracked me up. But you know, coming from an arts background, I definitely am not surprised that it's like that. And I'm not surprised that it took them a year to kind of figure out that something was upside down. But that is fantastic. Another waitress as well. That's amazing. What a great story. That's fantastic. I wish I'd been the director of the art gallery when they told me that. I bet he was like denying it as well. I bet they were like, nah, it was always like that. It's meant to be like that. I've spoken to the artist and that's how they said it should be. So you just be quiet. Because in my experience, they always think they know better. Right, now you can see these back out onto our like barriers here, and I don't want that to be the case, so we want to try and just firm this all up and just make sure that it's a nice flat kind of expanse at the top there. And I think I will try and run some sort of pipe network into that. I've got a bit of rock sticking through there, and that's quite frustrating, but we'll deal with that. That's it's not too much of an issue. So we kind of want to make this look a little bit more unnatural to an extent. So before I do any of that though, I want to hide these sections. So let's just put a little bit of cladding pieces on there and just build this up. I'm going to grab this. Oh, I've added those to it, haven't I? Whoops. Right, we'll just separate these two from the group. I did not mean to do that. Oh, and yeah, I added that to it as well, didn't I? Always check that you aren't adding things to a group when you don't mean to be adding it to a group, because that could have been a lot worse. I could have just carried on doing that. Like the artists, just carried on observing it as if it was as it should be. So, we've got another hour or so of Planet Zoo, and then we're going to move on and play some Terra Nil. I promised to do the next level, and I think the next biome we're going into is actually a wintry biome. I haven't seen that one. I'm going to have to check that out later on. I'm definitely going to check that out later on, because that sounds... Art critics are hilarious. Really, really hilarious. Honestly, I like trying to find the meaning in just about anything. Oh man, I can't wait to watch that. I mean, I'm not here to. I'm not. You know, if you know fine art and stuff, I'm not here to mock it. You know, creativity in any shape or form is amazing, but. There is a tendency to take it a little bit too far, in my opinion. I used to work in a building. My business was performance spaces and rehearsal spaces, and I shared a building with a lot of fine artists. And yeah, my experience is exactly what you describe in these experiments. So it doesn't surprise me. Any of these outcomes, they don't surprise me at all. Right, so It's pretty janky, but it's getting there. Exactly, Pandy. Sometimes a napkin is just a napkin, and we all just need to accept that and get on with our lives. Right, so the first thing I want to do in creating this man-made water kind of pump system to bring up this water here, we're going to go into our construction tab, and then the first thing we want to do is grab the vents. Now, the vent I'm going to use is probably going to be this Planet Zoo vent. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Or we could use... Ooh! Yes. Yes, that's good. So, yeah, it's North African plaster wall vents, but I think this is going to be a very nice... Yeah, we'll put that down, and then we'll put another one there. And this is going to allow us to build on the grid, which is actually going to make our life a lot easier. So I'm going to pull this round to roughly where I want it to be. And then just pull it up so I've got a little bit more to work with. Then we'll go back into our edit. And what else have we got here? What are these ones? I'm going to put that one on the top. And then what we want to do is we want to just try and change the colour of this. I've never used these pieces before, so this is brand new for me. I'm quite excited about this. We're not going to make them... We will make them black, actually, because we want to try and create something that resembles, I don't know, ironwork or something. And then we just need to give this a bit of a frame and like a top. So for the top, we're going to use temple. And we're going to take the temple walls, temple floor. Now you can see here, that is an issue. So temple floor isn't going to work. But we could use the decoration panels. Just rotate them. Because these are going to be partially hidden within the stonework, so I'm going to actually stick them on the top here, above the actual, and then we'll have it jut out a little bit, so it forms a natural, like, overhang for it, like that. And then we'll just duplicate this and bring it all the way across to the middle, so that it's roughly in the right position to kind of look like a continuation of the pattern. Or does it need to be flipped round? No, I don't think so. I think that looks great. And then we need some sort of metal work. Or some sort of structure to it to hold it all in place. And what I think we'll do is we'll use these decorative trims. Again, we'll let them kind of sit in place, just covering the edge here. But because these have like a thicker top to them, we can run them across and really frame the top section quite nicely. But we do need to be aware that, actually, no, we don't necessarily, because if I just bring this out a little bit further, I can then move this one down again, and we can overlap that there. So there's a slight clip, but it works. And then we once again we bring this all the way across to here, and then we're going to flip the whole thing around. Bring it right the way to this side here, and bring it across. Now, there's a slight issue here in that these pieces, it's now going to have the pattern going in the wrong direction, which isn't actually what we want to see, but it's not too much of an issue. It just makes this edge look a little bit odd. But it's not a problem. And then what I'm going to do is, just for the back end of this, I'm going to grab these two pieces here and just flip them all the way around, bring them to the back, and then sink them in to the ground there. Now on the top of that, we're going to be... Anna, good morning. How's life going in the Shire? Glad you could join us. Okay, we're gonna stick this stone plinth down here just to give a little bit more structure to it. Can I use this big one? See, that's too chunky, so that's not going to work either. We're going to have to go with these slimmer support beams and maybe do something like this. I guess this works. Maybe we could actually pull all of these around. Oh, don't worry. It's fine, Anna. Honestly, whatever you can make is always appreciated. I am going to try now to make a few more of yours, actually. With my days off and stuff. If I'm able to, I definitely want to try and come along and hang out a bit and maybe even play some games with you on stream, because Left 4 Dead, you know, I've not played it for a while. And I'll be your Bill. The grizzled Vietnam vet Bill. Actually funny, I don't know if any of you have played the Zombie Army trilogy, but he's like he's he's like a bonus character in the Zombie Army trilogy, so you can play as all of the Left 4 Dead characters in it. I think. But I just always play as Bill because he's the old man who I would imagine now, like modern day Bill, is just a conspiracy theorist, I think. Yeah, and has the best one-liners. Probably the only good one-liners, because the rest of them aren't amazing. But yeah, like I'd really like to play a bit of I will scare the witch every single time. Even like I managed to sneak up to her and then try to like one-shot her, and somehow, I don't know what it is, I must sneeze every time I'm about to pull the trigger and startle the witch. Right, let's try and put this into position now, because we've got a nice little layout here. Actually, what I want to do first is I want to build the stuff on top of it. So I'm going to create something that's a little bit more customized here. I don't want to come off the grid yet, that's why I've not moved it into position. What I want to do is create kind of something like the water treatment here, but just like a single cylinder with like a trim around it, and then some pipe work going down into this piece here. So the first thing we're obviously going to be using is the conservation pipe works, these. So I'm going to put the I don't want to use the gutter drain, I actually just want to put a single pipe connection on, like somewhere here maybe. But before that, I guess we should put like a metal plate or something on the bottom. So let's find some metal platform of some description. And I really like, before I build, I work out what animal I'm going to be putting in there, Anna. And then I kind of go to the Zoopedia and I'll have a little look at the requirements and stuff, the sort of what biome they're from and also what continent they're from. And that will help me kind of shape the design of my build. Like a lot of the stuff that I've built, if you go back to like the first episode in season 2 of this series, I had it all mapped out, and then as I kind of started building, like I knew the capybara was going to be a tropical South American habitat, and then I had visions of what else we would do, and it would go into another habitat. But first, my whole kind of thing behind it was mainly having a series of tropical South American, tropical North American, tropical Asia, or whatever, all of that sort of stuff. But it was all kind of around the wetlands. And then as it's kind of developed, that theme of like South American temple sort of builds has carried on into the other builds, which has kind of changed the animals that we're putting into them. So yeah, a lot of I don't really decide on a looker theme before I build, but when I start building, that theme sticks for a little bit. So like when I first started doing Old Town, let's go over to Old Town for a little bit while I'm kind of figuring out what metal pieces I'm going to put in. So with Old Town, I always had the idea that it was going to be this kind of European temperate area, and that would then kind of shape the animals I was going to put into it. So I really knew with Old Town the animals that I was going to be able to add to it. But then, because I wanted to create a wetlands biome, it kind of became a tropical South American themed biome. So sometimes the buildings and the ideas that I have shape the animals, and sometimes the animals shape the builds. So it's a load of, there's different methods to my kind of supposed madness in building and stuff. So yeah, Old Town is a very special place for me. There's no animals here at the moment because the breeding got really out of control, and I've had to kind of put them all in the trade center. You'll also notice, if you're just joining us, there's only 6 people left in the zoo, but that's because I closed it so I could do this build. But yeah, I do love Old Town a lot. It's got a lot of charm to it, and if we just kind of have a little sweep through the empty streets now, it's still something that I really, really enjoy kind of coming back to. And, again, there's stuff where I'd like to come back and build. What's on the specials board today? Carrot and sweet potato soup, leek and cheddar tart, new potatoes and salad, mushroom leek and Stilton crumble salad, fish goujons, chips and salad, picnic pie, new pots is potatoes and salad, beef burger with cheese, bacon, fries and coleslaw, prawn and avocado salad bowl. Just if you want to come to the White Hart for a little bit of a lunch and an overnight stay. There's also a barber's, a tailor. It's been a very long time. Then there's the old curiosity shop on the corner here. Pete's Produce, now delivering throughout Old Town. Jefferson's Pharmacy. The Florist. We might as well do a little sweep by, and just have a little look at it all. Because it's been a long time since we came here, so... This was all the first series in the kind of development of Arcadia. But, you can see the amount of detail we put in these buildings, and then you come over here, and there really isn't a lot. So, yeah. Well, I'm very glad that's how you came back to the channel, because I think it was like the next level of building for me. I mean, look at this. This has got not a lot of foliage in it, and I'm pretty sure the European fallow deer can have a fair bit more than that. I could be wrong though. And then around here, and then we've got our little... What was in here? Oh yeah. Yeah. Prairie dog. And then of course, coming over, our first kind of nod to South America was the llamas. And then around the back, we do need to come back here though. Oh, I'm really glad. That was actually my favourite. I think that's probably been the best one for me. We've got our little fox sanctuary, the Schwalski's horses, the bats, then the red deer. We've still got this area to do, so Old Town isn't done. We've got more to come back to. I'm quite excited to come back and finish off the farmland sort of section. I just thought it would be a really nice idea to move on. We'd done a lot of four-legged animals that resemble horses or deer or something, so I thought it would be better to just move on. Anyway, let's get some stuff going on down here. So, metal. we are going to put down the now the aluminium panels are too bright and colourful, and you can't actually edit the colour on them, I don't think. And they're just going to reflect light like mad, so that's not going to work for us. But that's kind of what I'm looking to kind of make. So what about the corrugated sheets? No, because they wouldn't sit on corrugated sheets, so that's not going to work either. We just need a metal panel, basically. Oh, Anna, you shouldn't have. Oh, the creepy crawlies build. That was such a long time ago. 2 years. More than 2 years since the that first ever Planet Zoo video. But it's still how a lot of people find the channel. And I think they'd be surprised to see what it's like now and the kind of the way that the builds have changed. I think we'll just have to use these metal-clad wall panels, which isn't really a problem. It's just they're very thick. So we need to really work at where we're going to put these pieces so that they don't interfere with the stuff that's going on underneath. And we can just kind of put them as a little bit of an elevated area there. So we'll put them in. And then this is basically going to be the build area for the water tanks and stuff that we're going to put in. So, we need some sort of circular shape now. Let's have a look at what pillars we've got, because we could get away with just doing... We don't have any good pillars. We need like a circular tank. So what we want to kind of create is, if we go to the conservation pack stuff, because the these large water butts... Ah, dear. In fact, well, Anna, I don't. I really don't. Honestly, I wing it most of the time. And sometimes when you're playing around with stuff, something just clicks and then you start to run with it. So when I started developing like this wetlands area, well, let's take Old Town for example. When I started thinking about how I wanted to do Old Town, I knew that I wanted like a central town district where there'd be like a lot of shops and things. And that would be where most of my guests go. And then I knew that I wanted to create like Tudor themed buildings that were based on a town in the UK called York, which has this really cool little shopping area called the Shambles. And they were basically old Tudor buildings that were previously houses. And over time, because they're so old, they've kind of started leaning into each other. And it's kind of created this, it's almost like very much Diagon-Alley-esque, if I'm going to compare it with anything. And I knew I wanted to build that in the game, or some sort of nod to it. And then I thought about the kind of areas that I would want to kind of mess around with. And then obviously the first kind of episode of Arcadia, I go into all of that about what I want to do with Old Town and stuff. And it was kind of based on, in terms of the area that we're in, some of the old English towns that were repurposed by the British Army during the wars to train soldiers. And the villagers who were living in there were promised that after the war they'd be able to return, and they haven't since. So nature's kind of reclaimed it, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. So we've got this influences from like places I've been in my life and bits of like history from the UK, and then that's that. So that really helps. But for the temple stuff and this place, it's literally just been kind of, I want to create wetlands. And from what I've seen on TV, wetlands are this kind of like really kind of, you know, they kind of go with the way that things kind of develop in nature, where there's the drought and then flourish. Very much like actually Terra Nil, the way that we create wetlands there. You need a certain series of conditions for a wetlands biome to actually develop. So That's why I kind of wanted to go with like massive sprawling bits with really shallow waters that kind of eventually go into deeper pools. And that's where I kind of formed the landscape of this. And I knew I wanted to do a mountain biome, so I had to throw in a couple of mountains there. I also know that at some point I want to build a what are they called? Not a monorail, the overhead ones. You know what I mean. I'll find them in a second. I need to do some building. Um, where are we? Let me have a look. Facilities. I'll quickly find them. Transport rides. The gondola. I wanted to do the suspended gondola coming down from the mountains over the wetlands and then back up into a mountain. And then that would be kind of one part. Then I also wanted to do an underground metro system that would carry people around each and every biome. So with those in mind, I knew where I would be wanting to kind of change the landscape and stuff. So yeah, there's elements of pre-planning and elements of inspiration in it, but I very much wing it every time I start building in Planet Zoo until I get an idea and then run with it. So I was going to make something custom for these, but I think I'm not going to. I'm just going to put together a couple of these water butts, and then we will kind of make them look like one larger kind of section. We're going to change the colours on them though. And because they're sunken in, you don't get the little taps on them. And that's important because I really want these to have a bit more of a thing about them. So we don't need to change the tap colour, and we're going to change the lid. We're going to make the lid like a grey. Light grey. So we've got this, and then we're going to double up on this and pull that across to here. And we're just going to adjust the colour on these to, I don't know, should we go green? We'll go with a dark green. Then, what we're going to do is, we're going to pop some gutter pipe connections on here. Now, the snapping is going to be an issue, because I'd like these to snap on top. Oh, hang on. Here's an idea. Stop snapping to stuff that I don't want you to snap to. We'll turn off position snap for this. Now, if we put the gutter pipe connector on there, can I now grab it again? Yes, I can. Right, now, what we want to do is we want to snap these downpipe exits to them. So we want to go to our position snap here. And then we're going to rotate that around. Like so. And then we're going to add another. Where are you? There you are. Ah. Okay, so this is a little bit frustrating because I don't want it to curve down like that. I want it to continue going upwards. Right, let's see if we can just put a 1 meter gutter pipe on there. That's way too long. So, what we'll do is we'll grab another water tank here. And we want to put this in the middle of them all and then bring it up. And then we'll do the same with this one. Yeah, they do. They do. And I'd like to make them look a bit less like soda cans, but as we're kind of on a time here, I might come back at some point and make some custom water tanks for this. It was my original intention, but if we can make it look industrial enough to make them look more like that doesn't work. I don't like that at all. What I kind of want to create is something that resembles... Oh, there's the pipe bend. That's the one I want. Right, okay, so now I can do this. Put the pipe bend in. I don't want to duplicate that. I want the pipe bend. Thank you. Right, so the idea is these are all going to kind of converge. that makes sense. So I just want to grab this one and put it on the end here. And this is going to kind of give us an idea of how we're going to... Wolfie can't unsee the giant soda cans that we're putting in here. We're pumping the rivers and the wetlands full of... soda. So if I just actually move these along, we should be able to get them to kind of line up without causing too much of a interference. Right, that's better. I mean, they still look like giant soda cans that are just kind of part of our soda factory now. Filling the wetlands with their sugary goodness. Yeah, I've added giant drinking straws onto these soda cans. Right, okay. You guys are terrible. I think I might have to paint these all like black or something now that you've done that. Right then. We're kind of getting somewhere with this. Although I'm pretty sure to you guys it doesn't look like it, and it just looks like I'm creating some sort of weird art installation about the dangers of drinking too much sugary pop. Absolutely not my intention. Every time I put a piece on now, I think this still looks exactly like some sort of weird drinks factory. You guys are in trouble. Oh dear. It's not looking any better, is it? Right, if I take off the silly straw on the top, this is going to be a little bit better, I think. Yeah, I think I think this has gone to the point now where it's never going to look how I want it to look, because all I'm seeing Oh dear, what have you done? What have you made me do? This is terrible. You've ruined this build. Right. God, I need to do something about this. Right, we're going to put this round pipe in down here. This was the aim, to kind of create something that didn't look like it was feeding fizzy pop to the rest of the wetlands biome, but like it was feeding stuff into the... Right, I know what I'm going to do now, because you've made me do this. I can't believe you've done this. We're painting it all black. There. Now it's Sugary Dark Monster from Brewmaster. Okay, so it's not looking exactly how I want it to look, but now I just want to fence this off because I want to move on and actually decorate the waterfall with stuff because you guys have derailed this too much now. Oh dear. What? Who voted for waterfalls? Yes, thank you, Georgia. Now you can see it a little bit more. It needs a bit more in terms of like mechanical machinery and stuff to make it look a bit more, I don't know, like how I want it to look. I think this is something that I'm going to have to really finish off camera. Not because you guys have made me feel like an idiot, but I think it's just going to take a little bit more focus than what I have right now. But at least you can see the vision. But for now, I think we should just focus on getting some foliage down around this area. No, I'm not going to do that. We're going to go do the staff section. Because I think foliage and stuff is something I can... we need something to get the focus back. And that's very true. Heaven forbid you guys come into voice chat with me at some point and start heckling me. Right, we're going to just expand this little wall a little bit more and then pull it all the way around here. Now, I kind of want this to be a closed off section that only our staff can access. So let's get back some temple and then we'll pop down a doorway somewhere. I'm used to it because I raid with Wolfie quite regularly and she is the Queen of Mischief. So we play Elder Scrolls Online together. Yes, thank you, Pandy. I'll maybe we'll just head back over here a second and let's just find some sort of circular piece. Maybe just one of the flat shapes would work, or I could do this. Now it's gonna look like it's got like a little tab on it. Ah, right, staff buildings. I kind of think of it in a way that, you know, when you're trying to make little let me just come away from this a second. Let me just quickly put a circle down so that I know that what I need to do is... That's not the circle I'm going to use, but at least I now have a record. So, right, staff buildings. Let's quickly go over to staff buildings a second before I carry on with this one. What have we got? What time are we on? We got about 20 minutes left to Planet Zoo before we head on over to Terra Nil. Let's just have a quick look at some of the staff buildings around here. So, yeah, you can see here it's a very flat shaped looking one, but I wanted something basic. In here, though, things change a little bit. You can see we use these little pieces that we've already used on the roof of things. And then we have like little gateways here. This actual terrain, I couldn't get it sunk down, so I shoved a shovel into it so it just looked like a pile of sand. But just looking further in, little touches and stuff just really set it apart. One of the great things about the staff buildings is you can throw whatever you want in them, so it doesn't really matter kind of what you do. I think this, though, isn't a great example of a staff building because these aren't actual staff buildings. They're more entrances for our staff to get into a habitat that we've kind of changed a little bit. So there's always some sort of element of storage. Like this was a sleeping place or an area for our dwarf caiman to kind of go into and seek shelter. And then over in our Baird's tapir habitat here, there's just this kind of staff area that we add like a little bit of a rope pull into it for the doorway that's actually in the habitat itself. So these aren't actual staff areas. But in terms of staff buildings, you don't need to put too much effort into your staff buildings. One of the things about them is inside this building, if we go in, it's just flat. Nothing really about it. All of the staff buildings are in there, and that's that. But what you do focus on is creating a nice facade for the front of it so that it looks like it's not got anything in it. Yep, that's exactly what I started with. And I think that's perfectly fine. Because again, your staff buildings in Planet Zoo aren't necessarily as important to creating like a sprawling zoo with a lot in it. So your habitats are the kind of main focus, and then you can pull it all together with some nice staff buildings. Like if I go back over to the entrance here, I think we might not actually get that staff building built, but I think this is quite a good question to ask and to talk about on stream. This staff building is a box. Like there's nothing to it. It's got a couple of bits of cladding slapped on it, and then inside it's all white. There's very little around here that kind of lends itself to anything looking good. And then if we go over to here, this is also a staff building, but it's actually my exhibit hut here that I just pulled away, gutted the inside of it and turned it into a staff building. But again, the interior is all very basic. So if you start with something quite, basic and with not much about it, but then add more to the exterior, it looks like a totally different building. In fact, do you want to see some more? Because I can show you an old series where my favorite staff building is, or we can continue building this one here. You have my design brain. I promise you. It's easier than it looks. Honestly. Right, okay. I'm going to show you Northlands. It's been a long time since I went there. So you're going to see this anyway over the weekend when I actually release the video. But for the last 20 minutes, let's go to Northlands and I'll show you that one. So if I just head back to my main menu, I'll show you my favorite one. So you probably haven't seen the Northland series. It didn't actually last very long, and I got very disillusioned with it, shall we say. It was a tundra zoo, so there was not a lot we could do with it. And I built it when I started it when Planet Zoo did the terraformed maps patch, so we could have landscapes that were pre-rendered and just work to them. And that was the aim, to generate a pre-rendered map in a tundra biome and develop on the landscape we'd been given without making any terraforming adjustments if possible. And it was a hard mode, and it was very, very difficult. I would recommend, if you want a real challenge, play on hard mode and play in a tundra only biome, because it's very, very difficult. So I actually ended that series at around about exactly the same time as I ended Saltwell, because I wasn't enjoying any of them that much anymore, and I wanted to do something totally different because my skills as a builder had changed completely and everything had kind of changed for me and like creative and stuff. So, good luck, Anna, but I'm gonna show this anyway because we got there. So my zoos, let me find the correct one. This was Northlands. So I'm opening this as Sandbox because I'm not going to make any adjustments and stuff to it, but let's do a quick tour of Northlands because a lot of you may not have seen it. I really loved it and I wanted to keep it going, but it was so time consuming and it needed so much work to it to get it to kind of work. I loved it and I've saved it because I would like to come back to it at some point. I actually had an episode that I hadn't finished recording that I wanted to release, but it was just too much for me, and I couldn't keep it going, unfortunately. That's just the way it goes sometimes. There's no point going on with something if you're not enjoying it anymore, so I ended up stopping. But I had a lot of fun with it while I was doing it, and it's going to be quite fun to revisit it because it's been a long time since I came back to this. But it has some of my favourite builds in, and some of the things that I really wanted to kind of use again. So when we come round to building like our tundra biome within Arcadia, you'll probably see some of these buildings coming back. And I had a lot of fun doing it, so it's worth kind of showing. And as we've only got 15 minutes left, and you guys mischievously derailed the entirety of the lesson. Lesson? I'm not teaching. Right, okay. Welcome to Northlands. Yeah, like I said, one of my favourite zoos. I really loved this project. So we're going to go have a little tour. So the entrance is exactly the same as you will find in most Planet Zoo entrances. And then guests come through here in the freezing cold. And the first kind of animal you come to is this lovely walk-through habitat for our reindeer. And this, I love this. This was the start of it, and this got me really excited to do more. And it was a really simple habitat with very little like coverage in it. But underneath the actual guest entrance area where the info stuff is our actual sleeping area for our reindeer. And then up here, they come up, and then there's a guest talk here that they can overlook this part of the reindeer habitat. And then they go further up. I designed custom signage and everything for it. This is Northlands National Park. And then up here we come to the first set of staff buildings, which again, it's just log cabins. There was nothing really to it. And then over here we've got some more bits and pieces, but it all kind of forms part of this info kiosk here, where you have a couple of exhibits, and then inside, again, this was very bare. I never did much in here. Toilets, information stuff, some vending machines, and then an information kiosk so people can buy maps and audio guides and stuff. Then down here, there's a staff-only section. Now, staff just clip through this door, and that's fine with me. And then that comes in and leads all the way down through these little corridors. And this is how staff get into the... there's a little staff room down here. You haven't caught it yet. I'm just doing a little bit of a tour, Hannah. So, and then the staff actually enter the back of the reindeer habitat through here. And that's that. That was really cool. I enjoyed that. Coming through here, we got to our monorail, which was always really busy, and I always had issues with it. And this is where this franchise started losing money, because the queue here was ridiculous. If we just go to the queue here, it was so bad that people were just getting unhappy and not using the monorail. Anyway, down here we've got Bernie's Bakes, a Gulpy, another information kiosk, and the toilets. And then guests will come out this way up here, and this is our second staff area. And it's just another basic building again. They go in, but the exterior is where you set it apart. And then around the back, I even did like a little bench and stuff. This is a path that nobody can access, but that was just so I could put the bench on there and create this kind of like fake back room area for staff. And then they could get on the monorail and go up to the mountain. And then over here, we even built some little, oh yeah, again, little bit of a signage there, custom made, and lots of little touches. And they can come up to here where they get to this log cabin. And I think this staff cabin contains a generator, and that kept guests away from getting like negative effects from the generator being within that cabin. And then over here, I still had these in place because I still hope, and I still think it will happen, that we'll get some sort of resort or hotel like you get in Planet Coaster, so that guests can come and spend the night. Because, you know, we have it where you can go to Africa and stay at the wildlife park where the giraffes are kind of like there, and you can spend a night in a hotel surrounded by all of this nature and stuff, which I think is really cool. But yeah, so then they had this lovely long staircase going up into the next kind of habitats where we've got our doll sheep. And again, there's kind of like I can't remember what you call these. I actually never finished the gate on this. Yeah, that was the theme I was going for, Pandy. It was meant to be some kind of like Norse type structuring, which I really kind of took. Yes, Wolfie, I will try to give you a tutorial, but whatever I say may not be completely accurate because it is a nightmare to get it working. And just when you think you've got it working, nope, it stops. I found the best thing to do for when you're putting in trains and monorails and stuff, every time you load back into your zoo, close it and reopen it. It's not a great thing because you will get refunds for those tickets that people have already bought, but if you ever have any problems with it, try that. Sometimes that works. But there's plenty of other things that we can go into, and I'll try and kind of talk a little bit more about that sort of stuff. Maybe we could do that in a stream as well, so you can follow along maybe. Anyway, so here I wanted to create kind of like I can't remember what, an airlock, that's what they're kind of called, because guests can, the staff will come through here, lock that gate, and then come through this gate into the habitat. So I ended up building this because the doll sheep kind of got out of control, but here I wanted to create this collapsed mine, and it was just a little sleeping area for them. Coming in here, lots of crates and stuff from where it's all collapsed. This was one of my favourite builds, actually. And then up here, they can climb up here, and these little baubles kind of light the way to what ended up being kind of like a lookout post or a research tower or a place for photography and things. Yeah, short queues, which Pandy told me about, and that helped me a lot. That certainly helped with the old town train system. But this was one of my favourites, building this little lookout. And then if we just pull back a little bit, you've got all of that. And then down here, we've got our Japanese macaque. And they had this lovely little kind of sleeping area in here, which required a log access. And this kept messing up because for some reason, whenever I loaded in, this wouldn't register as a climbable object. So I had to custom move it and then undo it, and suddenly it would register again. But yeah, the Japanese macaques would sleep in here, and it's like a completely viewable sleeping area within this habitat, which I thought was really cool. And then down here, they've got like a little bit of undergrowth. And then in this little building, I don't know why I put this. Oh, I know why I put this in. So this little building was meant to kind of facilitate their movement into this section, because I'd put all of these enrichment items and stuff on here, and the macaques never seemed to come here. But I really wanted to drive them into that area because that's where guests had a really nice clear view. And then further round, we've got this, again, stuff I meant to develop and never got round to. Nice big animal talk point and lots for the Japanese macaques to do, so that was fun. And then over here, we had a combined habitat for seals and penguins. And I don't know where the penguins are. There they are. And again, this was another staff area. It's a lot of trial and error, but I've always found that once you settle on something, that's when it all starts, and you start working out how the pieces work together. It's just playing. And then yeah, so this little staff area came in, and again we had the transformer, the water purifier, and this was all very natural, like, and then mixed with man-made, so lots of concrete and stuff, and big old like swimming tank. And then down here you've got sunken ships, and underneath the underwater viewing area is our next sort of set of staff guest areas like shops and stuff. But sink things into the ground, just do it, whatever you want. It's like just about playing with the pieces. And then the little hut here was for our penguins. And the problem I had with this was when you had little like baby seals, they would go through here, and when they grew up they couldn't get out. They were like trapped in here. So if they went in there when they were a juvenile, just before they were about to grow up, and then they came back out, well, they couldn't get out when they grew up. And then yeah, so up top we then have like a restaurant. And this restaurant, there's no access to it, but I built some fake stairs. There were meant to be toilets in there, but I actually ended up getting rid of them. So I built a little staircase. Again, guests can't actually use that one. And then down here, you're into a little bit of a area here where you've got bits and pieces kind of growing through, and the underwater viewing area. And then lots of stuff, toilets, shops, kiosks, things. Then the restaurant entrance is here. Now, remembering what restaurants do, as soon as a guest goes in, they port up to the nearest chairs and stuff, which are here, overlooking our seals and our penguins. And of course, the entrance, which is the important bit, you come around here, you can see our penguins sleeping, and then the entrance is this lovely... This was something that I really liked. So there's bits of caribou moss and stuff growing through here, and it's just those ship pieces that I'd kind of curved over to make an overhang. And then it all kind of ends in this underground section here. It's actually really nice to be back here doing a little speed through of this. And of course, things started to kind of, you know, it got a little bit samey for me and I started struggling with it. So I decided that I was going to do something different. And then I built this tropical walkthrough, which had just exhibit animals in there. So you came through here and it was like you were entering another world. And you've got this really nice tropical landscape coming through here with loads of different exhibits that I tried to make look like all one exhibit. So here we've got like this deserty type one for the sacred scarab beetle. And then we kind of try and continue the desert outside of the actual exhibit. So it looks like it's all one area going all the way through. And the same with the tropical one here for the... I can't remember what that is. Giant cockroach. And then again, this is what I was trying to do. So here, this is the kind of inspiration. It's all spilling out down here out of this man-made sort of thing. Oh, thank you, Georgia. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That means a lot because you don't realize how much work you're putting into it until you do it. And then when you see it, when I look back, I'm like, how the hell did I do that? But it's patience, it's time, the little touches here and stuff. I've not done this for a while. But to come through here was really nice. We had like all mulch carpet on the bottom here, which we could extend and do more of. And then again, all of the exhibits have a continuation that makes it look like it's all one long kind of thing. And then behind here was another staff area. Now, this is why I'm saying, Anna, it's very easy to kind of make your staff stuff look good. This is a door. Staff clip through it. It's just a simple doorway with some planks of wood in it. And actually through here, if you go beyond the door, there's nothing about it. I've not done any coverage at all. It's in the side of a mountain and that's it. I didn't even bother doing anything to them because it didn't need it. You don't go in there enough to kind of see what it looks like. So you put a door on, you sink it into the side of a mountain and it's gone and you just ignore it. And you do little signs or something, little nods to it, and you hide it behind everything else. That's my biggest tip for staff stuff if you're struggling with it. But I'm going to show you my favourite. We're getting to it. Anyway, they'd come all the way through here with this lovely stuff. And my favourite thing was the hole in the cliff here with this tree at the bottom of it. Because when you get at the right time of day and the sun just starts poking through there and it kind of like bathes it in light. Of like all of the kind of stuff that I've done creatively, this has been one of my favourite ones. To kind of have this little oasis in this frozen wasteland, and I thought it was a really cool concept that I had a lot of fun playing around with. And then of course the guests come out here and they're kind of linked back up. They can go back to the restaurant in that way, or they can continue on around here, this is the new bit. This is the build that I was working on before I finished, and it's the Timberwolves. And I wanted to create this massive overlook that goes down into this valley where our Timberwolves are. No, I understand that, Pandy, and I still like to try and build on the grid as much as I can, and then just add stuff onto it. The problem that I always have is when you stop building on the grid, you forget the basics, and without the basics, building off grid just doesn't work. It's very, very difficult to get it right. So yeah, I try a lot of different things, but there's absolutely no problem with doing boxy stuff, um, because then you can build stuff on the outside of the box. So think of like that boxy build as your basic interior, where you're not going to see a lot of it, and then just put a facade on it. It's like putting makeup or something on, or like, you know what I mean? Or like putting a costume on, some sort of fancy dress or something. That's what it's all about. So you just got this like basic structure, and then you slap something on the top of it, add another layer on, and it changes completely. And then the wolves had this little underground like cave here that they would swim across here and come into. We just have a little play here. So this build, actually, you're the first people to see it, because the footage is still there, but I've not put the video together. So you're the first people to see this build. And the staff entrance for this is actually down here. And it was never completed. So I put some more staff buildings in here, and they would come through this area. They've just dumped the meat there. They've not fed them. And they'd go through a cave, and as they come out of the cave, they're in this landscape for the wolves. And I really liked this. This, as a concept for me, was one of my favourite ones. And it just, there was bits about it that didn't work. So there was this big, wide, open, forested area. And guests could then come and sit in this restaurant here and see the wolves. And then there was a big, towering waterfall coming down here that I had a lot of fun building. And yeah, this was just a really fun build to do. It just didn't work. And what I wanted to do, so this restaurant here, it had like a fake lift shaft in it. So we'd be pretending that there were lift access for guests and stuff. Little bits of the conservation pack and stuff in there. And then like a staircase going all the way down, because I needed to get guests down if they wanted to view it. And then in here, there was more hotel spaces. So a couple of rooms and stuff to look out into the snowy landscape and stuff. And then further up, there was toilets, the actual restaurant entrance, which is there, and then the actual lift shaft continues all the way, and then they come all the way back out here, and again there's the beginnings of another staff area there. Coming around here, we are going to go back to that build as well. There was our giant otter. No, it's the small clawed otter. So they just had a basic pool, couple of diving areas, and this again had an underwater viewing area. Nice little, again, Nordic themed building with some staff just plonked on the end. And this is when I first did my custom solar panels. And again, the interior, there's nothing to it. No real detail on the interior because you don't see it. So it's not needed. Make the exterior look good. Big open glass work on the top there, and our Asian small clawed otter. And then up here, my Arctic Fox Sanctuary, which I was incredibly proud of. This was a nod to the Save a Fox Foundation. I don't know if you know anything about them, but they're based in, I think it's Wisconsin. And they do a lot of work in rescuing foxes. So that you can't keep a fox as a pet in the US, I don't think, but people do. So a lot of them are seizures from breeders or exotic pet trade, and they bring them into a sanctuary and give them a place to stay and all of that sort of stuff. They are incredible, and they've got some wonderful characters there. And this is kind of, these individual little Arctic fox habitats kind of became my new kind of favorite things to build. They've got a little run there, and I wanted to do a nod to some of the shelters that they have there. So the little red wooden kind of shelters and stuff, lots of things. And this is where I kind of really started having a bit of fun playing around with breeding stuff, and then created like a nice little hut there. There's actually nothing in there. There's no interior to it. It's just a big exterior building that I thought would look cool to put in. And then here again in this big old barn, staff buildings. Again, all about the exterior, not about the interior. So you don't see a lot of the staff kind of doing anything really. And I think that just about covers this area up here. A little bit of a coffee kiosk there. Coffee and donuts, and that's that. So, that covers all of the habitats in here. Yeah, I will have to name one of the... I'll name one of the red foxes in Arcadia Finnegan. Now, here's my favourite ever staff area. So we're back at the entrance now, and this staff area has 2 entrances. And I really liked the idea at the time of just hiding all of my staff facilities. So this staircase kind of goes up around the back of my main entrance. So you can look out on there and look up here, nothing. No habitats, no nothing. And this goes all the way around, comes through this mine shaft here, into that nice glasswork flooring. Lots of mesh, lots of greenery and ivy and stuff. And then you come into this corrugated iron section. Coming through here, you come to all of our staff buildings. Lots of greenery, just to kind of break it all up a little bit. But I wanted this real industrial feel to it. So it had to have like corrugated iron and harsh metal work and the stark lighting. But then just little planters and stuff. But I loved that exit of what like as if there was some sort of mining operation here. And then it comes all the way through. And then out here you've got little bits of texture and stuff. And then the wood is just like a little bit of a framework for an entrance. And then out here you've got like little bits where there would kind of be like the actual mining offices or something. And this was actually called the Hilltop Centre for Research and Development, because that's where my researchers were. And it was just really cool because it sits in with the natural environment very well. And then over here, it's our other monorail station, which I wanted to be a little bit more kind of using what would be the natural landscape within the area. So yeah, that's that. That's my favourite staff area of all time, and it's just hidden. It's got a front on it, and that's all you need to have, really. Like, if you can hide your staff building somewhere real nice, like, underground's always a good option. Just stick them underground and make, like, a little bunker. Just put a front on it. Because they're not a major part of it. You don't need to make these elaborate staff buildings. They can be boxes. Most of mine are secretly boxes. I just put, like, something on the front of it to make it look not like a box. But yeah, this was fun to go back to. I'm glad you guys asked for this, because it's actually given me some ideas to kind of take back in Arcadia. So that was quite nice. So we're going to finish with Planet Zoo, and we're going to boot up Terra Nil. I'm really glad you enjoyed that one. So we're going to boot up Terra Nil. We're going to play for like an hour, do one more level, and then I'm going to go to bed because I'm bloody knackered, and I'm going to have to go back and do a lot of work now to finish that habitat for the weekend. That might be a late night for me. Right. So I will see you in a few minutes. Yep. You know when you turn the mic off to set out the next game and then forget to turn it back on? Thank you for pointing that out, Georgia. Right, okay, so hopefully that's boosted things enough. Let's jump over to gameplay. There we go. Right, we are back. Right, now, I'm hoping you can hear the music well enough. I did have mic issues, Diz. Yes, I forgot to unmute myself when I came back. But we're back. Teething problems, we'll call it. So, we're going to continue with Terra Nil. Ah, God, I'm looking forward to this. Right, so, last time we completed the tropical biome. Next time, we're at polar. So, polar biome. We've got 4 biomes here. We've got forest, kelp forest, lichen, and tundra. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 animals. That looks like a narwhal. That looks like a wolf. That's definitely a reindeer. Polar bear, penguin. What are you then? Is that a Japanese macaque? I think it might be a macaque. Yeah, it was, Seth. It was a really fun game. I had a lot of fun playing it. I've seen a couple of reviews that say it's a bit short for a... Oh, it could be a seal, yes. It could be a seal. Well, let's jump in and find out. Yeah, it is kind of perfect after looking at Northlands, Georgia. You're right. Yeah, so I've read a couple of reviews that say it's a very short game for 4 hours. Now, it is indeed, Diz. It's the very chilled out game that we're playing now. I've seen a couple of reviews that are quite negative that have kind of said that for the price point, it's not a great game. You don't get a lot of time out of it. But I think there's a lot of replayability in it. They're procedurally generated maps, and if you are into kind of creative stuff, it's definitely got replayability to it. But if you are just going to buy it to play the campaign in 100% the kind of story, yes, it's short. Fair enough. But for creative types who want to kind of transform a landscape and stuff, there's infinite replayability to it. Anyway, geysers and lava flows make this region perfect for geothermal power. You'll need to melt the polluted permafrost in order to clean the ground beneath. Solar amplifiers will help increase ambient temperature and melt snow. Begin by using seismic detonators to cause fissures to erupt, bringing lava to the surface. Use geothermal plants and solar amplifiers to melt snow, allowing you to clean the ground beneath. Detoxify the polar ocean, as it is also a source of life. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what have we got then? Right, so we've got polluted snow, we've got some destroyed buildings. Now then, it's very toxic. Humidity is low, and temperature is -10. Right, snow melts at 0 degrees. So that's our first target. Then we get fungi and forests at 40% humidity. Icebergs form below 0 degrees Celsius and below 25% contamination. Moss on boulders, so there's a lot of different stuff. Aurora. We're going to get Aurora Borealis here. Amazing. Right, okay, so we are going to begin with... We need to create some lava tiles to unlock this tool here, and then we've got our toxin scrubber. I'm guessing that's going to unlock power for us, probably the geothermal plant. So if we put our seismic detonator down next to this fissure, or what about here? We'll put that there, we'll see what happens. Oh. And then it's melting the snow. Okay. Oh, wow. That's cool. Right, okay, we need more lava tiles. So I'm going to do another one here. Or here, maybe. Yeah, there. And it's actually adjusting the terrain. Oh, I didn't catch that. Damn. Right, well, we'll get it this time. There we go. Now it should flow. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, I like that a lot. That's really cool. Right, 12 more tiles. So we need to do them next to these geothermal sites. That's a double one. Let's get that. Yeah. So we've got a little lava pit there. And we have unlocked the geothermal plant, which provides electricity and melts snow in a large area. So our geothermal plant can go... Where does it go then? There. So it has to go on a lava flow, I guess? Well, I guess we'll start here. So we'll put it there. And that should melt a load of snow and give us some power, finally, to start using our toxin scrubbers. So what do we got next? Combustor. We need to reclaim some greenery and some ocean. Right. So, let's get our toxin scrubber in to begin with. We'll put it as far away as we can. And then that scrubs the toxins from this area here. I think this might be permafrost, so we've not been able to melt that. But if we put this in, it melts it. There we go. Right, but it's now not ideal for us, is it? So we need to find ways to scrub the toxins a little bit further. Let's stick down our solar amplifier. There. And then a toxin scrubber nearby. And then an irrigator right there. And that should give us some points back. And we've got some grass tiles now. Pretty much already got enough to unlock our next kind of... There. And then what we can actually do is get that done. So, where are we at now? What have we got here? The dehumidifier pulls water out of the surrounding vegetation and area to lower ambient humidity. So what are we at right now? We could do with trying to get this up to melt the snow, so we may need to improve the temperature of the area. Humidity currently is at 12%. And it looks like we need to just boost our humidity, basically. Okay, interesting. We're going to be able to play around with different optional goals here. So if we can get our snow melting at 0 degrees, that'll then allow us to focus on some of the stuff that requires better temperature. So it looks like we're going to be able to play it in multiple different ways this time. I would like to get my ocean tiles reclaimed though, so let's get our toxin scrubbers back in and potentially a new geothermal plant. Now, we don't have any stuff here that we can use to put our plant down, so we're going to have to force another lava flow, which increases the temperature a little bit, gives us a nice flow of lava, and allows us to place down another geothermal plant, which we'll put right there, and that'll hopefully start to melt some of the snow and stuff, and then get our toxin scrubbers out. So this again I think is permafrost. Ooh, interesting. So if we aim the excavator through one of these, it's going to create a lava flow. So if I was to do something like, I don't know, like that, can I then connect those lava flows? I can. Okay. Wow, alright. Very cool. Right, now we need to kind of get rid of the toxic snow. But the scrubber isn't working. I think I just need to melt it. So we're going to need to just boost the temperature here. So let's just have a look at what we can do to do that. The combustor should work. Or maybe if we just activate... No, we can't. We don't have a valid target for that. So where can we put the combustors again? Ooh, I've got one there actually. Let's right, we're gonna move back over here. We're gonna set off one of those again. That should give us more and hopefully increase the temperature. Didn't do much that time. Let's pop down a geothermal plant there, just being very careful of what we kind of need. But we're getting there in terms of our temperature. We can stick a toxin scrubber there. And then another one there. And then I'm going to have that go all the way out to the sea. I think enough lava will solve many problems, but we shall see. So I kind of need to get the lava flow going down to here to start doing some work on this stuff. So I guess we need to do another one of them, but we are running dangerously low on the kind of resources that we have available to us. So another geothermal plant should be okay. And then if we can just fit yeah, that doesn't work. Right. We still need to reclaim some ocean tiles, actually, so let's go over to our toxin scrubbers. And they are going to start reclaiming ocean tiles for us, because I think it's because we've melted the ocean. Or melted whatever was, you know, there. But this is tough. Toxin scrubbers doing the work again, and we're going to need to put down a irrigator just to recover a couple of resources there. We'll hit another toxin scrubber somewhere, try and just recover some more of the ocean. 50 more ocean tiles, 49 more ocean tiles to scrub clean, and then we should be in a bit of a better position. I think we're going to need a geothermal plant here, and then we can stick a toxin scrubber right there, and that's going to give us even more tiles. Oh, throwing lava at assignments. That would be a good idea, wouldn't it? Right, where we are. What else can we put down? So the ocean only kind of has a few tiles here. But we do need to just keep working at scrubbing it. There we go. What have we got now? The flash freezer freezes surrounding vegetation and liquid to lower atmospheric temperature, can form ice in clean oceans. Right then. We only need to increase the temperature by another degree. So, let's have a look at what we can do. It it's just going to have to be another geothermal plant. We've got one there. We don't have one here. That's going to be the next place for it. Nope, didn't quite do it. What if we just cut a nice long lava path through there? The lava flow doesn't really go anywhere. Right, so what if we just add a couple of seismic detonators in? Actually, first we're going to need to irrigate there just to recover some resources. We just need to find a way to raise the temperature a little bit more. Have I got any more like fissures left? Yes, we got one right there. Yes! The snow is melting. Or is it? No. We need another degree. Oh god. Right. Is the combustor able to help us out here? I can only put it there, but that's not actually going to increase the temperature by anything. Oh, that does. There we go. The snow is melting. We did it. No, I'm not starting afresh. Leave me alone. Now that the snow's melting, things are about to get a whole lot easier. So we've melted the snow. What's our target? I forgot about our target greenery coverage, actually. So let's just have a look at what we can do. Now, this is where things are going to start getting better for us. There. Irrigator going in. And another one there. And another one there. Now we need to find a way to scrub the toxins out of this place. So we can stick one down there. Another one there. And then, oh, excuse me guys, sorry. Another irrigator going in. Now up here we've got more stuff to kind of deal with, so we can just about fit another toxin scrubber there. And another one here. And then this irrigator goes in as we continue boosting our greenery coverage. Now this area is going to be a little bit difficult, but I can just about fit a toxin scrubber there and another one here. That's then going to allow us to put another irrigator in and recover even more resources and boost our percentage further. We're at about 75% greenery coverage. Here is going to be a difficult one though. So what am I going to need for another geothermal plant? We need to expand the lava flow over here. So if we put this down, that should pool the lava here. There we go. And that's going to allow us to build a new geothermal plant. And we can continue expanding our scrubbing operations. So we'll put one as far away as we can. And another one here. The lava shop. I nearly read that as llama shop. 81%. None of those work. work either. Can I get a toxin scrubber? Yes. $70. We're stuck on 85%. It doesn't seem to be going any further. Another geothermal plant we can just about fit in. This is a tough one. This is a very tough one. That works. Where does that take us? 89%. Why are we going up and then down? Well, the toxin scrubber there, that gives us some ocean back. And then if I can fit another one somewhere else. This is kind of where we need to be targeting though. %96%. We've at least got rid of most of the toxicity, so... The llama and lava shop. The llama's selling lava at the shop. Yes, we did it. Wow, that was tough. That was tough. So, increase biodiversity by growing tundra on the highlands. Start fires to create ash on which to grow forests. Freeze lava flows to create rock fields to grow lichen. And use monorails to create kelp forests in the ocean. So what do we unlock? We've got our monorails, the arboretum, the biodome, which creates tundra in range. Tundra will only grow at sufficiently low humidity and high elevation, must be built on an irrigator. The radial excavator excavates a large ring around it, will cause fissures to erupt. Move with a monorail and deposit the excavated earth elsewhere. So we're terraforming now. The igneous heat sink cools lava in range and forms rock. So we need to generate some rock. First of all though, we can put in our arboretum. But we need ash there. So, I guess we need to create the tundra first. And then burn that using this. Yeah, so let's create another tundra there. And then, this is going to be our forest. So we're going to activate the ability of our solar area to start a fire. That's hopefully going to burn right the way through. It didn't. Not quite anyway. Then we'll do it again. We'll burn there this time. The higher ground. And that spreads and gives us a lot of ash. And then one more to there. Then we can build an arboretum there, and here. Okay. We've still got a little bit more to do for the boreal forest, tundra, lichen and kelp forest obviously, but we're going to try and get as much boreal forest done as we possibly can. So where we're at now, we need to improve the humidity. So let's start working on that. But first, actually, we're going to need... Oh no, they can go right here. So that boosts our humidity. And then we should have space somewhere else for one. Here. There we go, right. Fungi in forests and moss on boulders. If we can increase the temperature a little bit more, we're going to get butterflies, but then we've got to target on like migratory birds returning, icebergs forming. That's going to require us to get back down for the temperature. Yeah, that does look cool. If I could get rid of that geothermal plant, it would be even better. Now, the igneous heatsink will cool all of this lava and turn it into rock. Ooh, very cool. Now, it's too humid to grow tundra, so we need to remove some of the humidity. But first, we might as well push to get more... Okay, right, this is very, very complicated now. I'm going to pop down the radial excavator there. So if I can get some water forming, that would be really useful. But we can't have snowfall. Right. I'd like to get migratory birds returning, but we need to really improve the temperature there for that, and the ivy growth as well. But once we've done that, I guess we can then start doing the other stuff. So we've got some clean ocean here. Maybe we should use our igneous heatsink then, again, to form some rock. Ah, this is cooling the temperature as well. So, monorail. And then another monorail. Ah, I'm gonna need to cool it because I need rock for my monorail. Okay. I can't fit one there. We're going to need to put down another excavator. There. Hopefully that'll then release lava into there, which I guess it does. So now I can turn that lava into rock. And continue building my monorail network. But we are very short now on... Ah. Interesting. We're actually out of points, and I don't know how we can get more. We might have hit our dead point here, which is a bit of a shame. So I think we are going to have to restart. If we restart this phase, that'll take us back, and then we can give it another go in the last 20 minutes of the stream and see what we can do. There's a lot to think about in this one, so it's certainly ramping up what you need to do. I think what we need to do is we need to drive the temperature up. So we've melted our snow, blah blah blah. So I think we need to continue driving that temperature up. Although it might be better if we just save it for now and focus on generating a lot of tundra. So if we pop down a load of these, generate as much tundra as we can, that fulfills the 110% required for the tundra. But I'm going to continue generating. Okay, so that's ideal conditions. It's got to be high elevation, so that's why this is the perfect area for our tundra. Didn't look into that first. So, next up we want to get the arboretum in, which we can put here, but we don't have any ash there. So we need to somehow find a way to burn this. Unfortunately, we don't have any vegetation there, and we can't actually put vegetation in there yet because we don't have any other vegetation outside of the tundra. So I think we do need to burn some areas of tundra here. What I'm going to try and do is just burn this one here. And then that shouldn't move the tundra too much, and that'll give us an opportunity to build on that husk there. I'm just out of reach of that area of tundra, which is a shame. I'm going to try and have only this area here. So we'll just continue burning little bits of it. Ooh. And it's actually burned down that thing we had there, and then we can put this in to make a start on our forests. Okay, boreal forest, there we go. Now, up here, what have we got? So we got fungi and forests. We've actually marked that off, and we've marked off moss on boulders as well still. Sorry chat, I've been pretty silent. I'm just trying to work it all out. We're going to need rock anyway. So we'll stick that in. And then we're also going to need some more rock here. So if we can... Just got to be conscious of the points that we're spending now. We'll put that there. We'll put that there. Now the radial excavator, we probably should have used that first, but I'm going to use it now in the hope that it drives lava up into that area. Doesn't look like it will. Doesn't seem to be flowing, which is a shame. So that was a bit of a waste. I'm going to undo that one. There we go. Now, can I actually fit another... Yes, we can. So we can create some more tundra there. And that's going to actually give me an opportunity to start a burn there. So I should now be able to convert that into boreal forest using some of the burnt out buildings. So that one there. And I think one more might actually take us overall. Yeah, there we go. Right, boreal forest is now 110%. Whew. All I want to do is try and find a way to bring water to the area. Because as soon as I get that done, we'll be able to kick things off a little bit further. So that should fulfill us for our tiles there. And what does that unlock? An algae greenhouse which creates lichens on rocks in range. When moved via monorail into clean ocean, grows kelp forests, must be built on an irrigator. So we can pop one there. We haven't got an irrigator down here, so we can't actually put the lichen there. But here is a good place. And I'd say there's a pretty good place as well. So now we need to pop down a monorail network, which we'll add to this rock here. And then another one there. And another one here. Now if we target that and move it to any of these... Right, okay, we don't have enough decontamination there. So maybe if we decontaminate there, and decontaminate there, and now we're getting frozen water again. Okay, right, we're going to just move the lichen anyway. To... okay. Let's see, what can we do to increase the temperature again? So we've formed icebergs. We need to boost the temperature back up. So I guess what we can do is use our radial excavator here, or maybe just use one of these. So this is going to send a pillar of lava back down. There we go. And that puts the temperature back up to 1 degree, which should melt those ice sheets. And it doesn't seem to. Now I don't want to burn my forest down, but I might have to put that combustor in, unfortunately. So we lose a little bit of forest there, but we gain temperature. And now I can't remember what I needed the temperature for. Right, okay. So I'm going to try and just push to get over 15 degrees to get the migratory birds back. This area is probably where I should be focusing on my kelp forests, really. So let's just have a quick look. I've got some stuff there that I can do, and actually it's within range, so I can just activate this, put another one there, activate that, take that and drop it right there, and that'll start our kelp forest. Cool. Right, okay, so we're on the way now. There we go, nice little kelp forest in there. Okay, it's starting. Now, what else have we got? Where can we put another kelp algae greenhouse down? Yeah, we can put that one down. And then I think if we build another monorail system right there, then this one can grab that and drop it. Okay, I can't drop it anywhere there. So if we put another monorail node down here, we can then grab that, and drop it there. Increasing the size of our kelp forest even further. But I'm noticing it's starting to create some ice sheets as well. Anyway, over here, there's more space for a monorail. Gotta be careful though, we're short on lots of stuff. So I can put that down there. It does cost us, but damn it. Can this one grab it? No! Ah! We'll add another monorail network in there then. We'll grab that. And we can't put it there, but if we are able to get a toxin scrubber down there, that helps us. So then we should be able to grab this, put it in there, and there we have it. Now I'm a little bit short now, but hopefully I haven't yet worked that out actually, Pandy. I think it's good. We have butterflies at least. So kelp forest 80%, lichen 39%, boreal forest 76%. Let's form up some more kelp algae greenhouses to get in some... Right, okay, so what we can do now is we can use an igneous heatsink there to form rock, and then put another lichen generator there. Yeah, great. 80% kelp forest and 57% lichen. Ooh, this is good. We can actually link all of our monorails now. There we go. Right, okay, so this kind of opens up stuff for us a little bit more. If this can grab that and then go over to this area, does that put our kelp forest all the way up to max? 90%. Then we'll stick an igneous heatsink there to generate a bit more rock on that area. That's going to allow us to add another monorail in. So we can grab this and drop it in here. And that should complete the kelp forest section. There we go. Right, next up we just need to get a boreal forest again. And I think we should be able to just put one there to take that back up. And then it's just 57%. We've got lichen left to do. So we don't have a irrigator here, but we can put one in. Ooh, we're close to the edge here. If we can put lichen there, 63%. We're still quite far off. That's not going to give us any. We could do with targeting that area there. So we can put that down. Oh, we're very short here. Nope. Right, 53. We need to find a way to generate something. Man, this is much tougher. Much tough? This is much tough. Wait. Okay. Let's undo. If we put the igneous heatsink there, damn. Okay, right. I know where we've gone wrong. Unfortunately, that's not going to cut it today. We are coming to the end of our stream and we've not managed to do it. I think maybe a complete reset of this one might be a good idea, because this was a lot of kind of getting to know what we're going to need to do, and it's certainly much more difficult than the first two levels, but I still had a lot of fun doing it. So let's just retry this region and see if it gives us a different map. Yeah, it does. A lot more difficult than the last two maps we've played. But I think I'll be calling it there, because it is now midnight and probably 1 AM for a number of you. So let's just have a quick look. It has given us a complete... No? Yeah, it has. There's definite differences in this map this time. So that might be worth having another go at, and I quite like this one. So I'm going to put a pin in it for now. We're going to save this one. We'll go back to the world map. Oh, okay. Well, that's a shame. So, say bye to the map. That might have worked. So, yeah, as you can see, we still get a little bit of restoration progress, but not a great deal. So, I will probably restart that map next time we play, and I hope you enjoyed the stream tonight. Thank you all for coming along. Thanks for everyone who's kind of new here. I really appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, everything. Thank you so much. It's been a really, really good stream tonight, and I've had a lot of fun. So hopefully see you next time. I'm going to try and stream every Thursday, as well as doing all of the other stuff that usually follows. Maybe we won't do a Planet Zoo this weekend, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. So thanks for dropping by, everyone, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.